of Arkansas. He will get a 5-year contract. The national championship game is tonight in Glendale, Arizona. Defending men's champ UConn tries to go back-to-back when they face Purdue. In Cleveland yesterday, South Carolina beat Iowa 87-75 to win the women's championship and finish their season 38-0. Caitlin Clark, 30 points for the Hawkeyes in a loss. The Patriots yesterday re-signed safety Kyle Duggar to a 4-year, $58 million contract. $32 million of that is guaranteed. Duggar was already coming back to the team on a transition tag, and the Red Sox blew out the Angels in Anaheim yesterday 12-2, and they're back home after beginning their season with a 7-3 record on a 10-game West Coast road trip. Ryan McGuire, a 3-run homer, and drove in a career-high 5 runs. Tanner Houck allowed 4 hits and struck out 7 over 6 shutout innings. The home opener is tomorrow afternoon against Baltimore. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy and Tom Caron at 1-800-GET-HAIR. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Tatum has been spectacular.
This is Jason Tatum.
Right corner against Embiid. Tatum for a 50-piece.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. 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 Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Let's talk about cheese.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
What the
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Welcome to the show.
That's a tuna, bro. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. We are in the Town Fair Tire Studios. You can watch us on YouTube. Search the Sports Hub on YouTube, and then start watching from there. Just start taking it in. Start basking in it. This hour of our show, as always, is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 617-779-0985. And the eclipse is today, which is we had one 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It was an eclipse. I was in the path of it. I was at 0, like the 100% full. Like I was at, because my parents' house was right where it was. People had been driving all over to see it, and it was certainly impressive. But it happened. So it's happening again today. But if you're here, it's not full. So just
Waste your time.
yeah, just a waste.
Don't buy the glasses.
You can still feel the energy and the excitement from the region, Fred. Where in Vermont and other places north of us, they will be experiencing the eclipse in its totality, and it's just it's a coming together, as a species. And I think we feel something primal with the eclipse. Shut up, Wallach. We feel something primal as a species. Why have the gods taken the sun away? But now we know. It's like, oh, no.
So we can all drive to Stowe, Vermont.
You silly cavemen. The gods didn't take the sun away. It's okay. But still, why don't you, glance up at the sky? Why don't you, Fred? You'll notice a difference. Oh, it's getting blocked out. Look at that.
Too much light pollution. There's too much man-made light pollution for me to see it properly. It's not like in Loudon, Tennessee, where we were out on a boat dock, and it was just so pure.
There's going to be light pollution at 2:00 this afternoon.
There's just light pollution everywhere.
Oh,
everywhere
I
you
didn't
look.
even know how that
smog
worked.
and light pollution everywhere. There was people in Vermont bitching about all the people coming up there, and I'm like, how many people are really coming up there?
I think there's a lot of people going up there.
I think that there's a lot of people saying they're going up there. I don't believe there's a lot. Where are they all staying?
B&Bs. And the people who aren't staying in the B&Bs are just driving up there, and then they're leaving. Because, let's face it, this thing goes on for a couple hours, and then it's done.
Not even a couple hours. But not even a couple hours. I can tell you from experience, there's really 5 minutes of action. And then there's really nothing. I remember it very well, surprisingly. We were all on the dock. It was impossible to get my kids to pay attention. Mm-hmm. And then, and then nothing was happening, and then it happened, and you were like, oh. And look at that. Hey, that's neato. It didn't get dark, and it was total completion, but it didn't get dark.
And then you're in Vermont and have to get in your car
Yeah,
and drive 2.5 hours.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if there's enough people that live around here to fill up Vermont. And all the hippies with the dumb hippies. I mean, you got to think of if you're thinking about going up there today, really reconsider it. Think of all the horrible people that are going to be there. You and the hippies. Very sad news. My father's dog died.
Oh, that is sad news. Just the one that followed him around and loved him and wouldn't leave his side.
It was a horrible, horrible animal. They had adopted it from a golden retriever rescue. There's no way it was a golden retriever. I don't know what's going on with this golden retriever rescue, but it was a real dump. And this dog, something had happened to it. It had scars all over it and everything. I guess they didn't know any of this. It's good they adopted the dog, and my dad really liked the dog. There's a point to telling the story other than the dog died, but something had happened to it, and it's the most nervous dog I've ever seen in my entire life. But it would just follow my dad around. They lied about how old it was. They're like, oh, she's 2 years old. She was 6 years old. They just lied about a bunch of stuff. The breed, the history, and the age. So that's a lie. I mean, there's very few other things that you could lie about without, other than the sex of it, and they would have figured that out eventually, maybe. But the reason I tell you this is so he took the dog. The dog had cancer. This is the second time the dog had cancer. It got over the cancer the first time, but they went to the University of Tennessee. My dad took the dog there, and he left it there overnight, and then. They were like, all right, there's 17 things wrong. Because University of Tennessee, big vet school, so they're really good. And they're like, there's 100 things wrong with this dog. I won't even get into it because I can't remember off the top of my head, but everything was wrong with the dog. They're like, this dog's in pain and it's gonna die. So they're like, why don't you come up and we'll put the dog to sleep. But the only reason I mentioned this to you, my dad's a man of 82 years old. Oh, not yet. He's just about to turn 82. He was the first time my mother ever saw him cry, other than the movie E.T.
Oh yeah, well that got to a lot of people.
But it's the only time. Think about this, and they got married in the '60s. Think about this. So they've been married, long time, 50 years, about 50 years probably. Mm-hmm. Think about this. They more than 50 years. They got married in their 20s.
Did you not have a big 50th wedding anniversary party for them?
Do we have a 40? We had one. Yeah, I had a big party I told you the cops got called. I didn't tell you. Wallach knows. The cops got called. Yeah, we had a wedding anniversary party for him. Maybe not 50 though. Probably 40.
Okay.
But but she saw him cry. Do you know how weird that must be? I've never seen my dad cry. Do you know how weird?
Never seen my father cry, ever.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's and there's a lot of guys that cry all the time. They cry at TV. If you see in football, they can't stop crying. They're emotional wrecks. But I mean, because I was asking my mom, I'm like, ooh. Was it weird? And she's like, to be honest with you, yes, it was kind of weird to see him cry. And because my mom hated the dog. So she didn't care. She just felt bad for my dad. I mean, really, the dog was terrible. The dog bit me in the nose. It was not a good dog. But that's the thing, is seeing your father cry. That's a generation that was not big criers.
Yeah.
What was the dog's name?
Ginger. It was named, my dad had dated a redhead before my mother. And the dog before that was Babe.
Oh.
And the dog before that was Toon, named after Al Toon. And the dog before that was Snuffer.
because of your father's love of snuff films.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a lot of 8mm films with people dying.
It's hard to feel bad for. I feel bad for your father. You tell me it's bad dog, I believe you. No such thing as bad dogs. Only bad owners.
It's bad
now
dog.
there's bad dogs, and
no, it was my dad really liked the dog. The dog followed my father around, so yes, my dad enjoyed having the animal.
Some dogs are a-holes. They just are.
Yeah, but to everyone else but my dad, and that's the reason my dad liked the dog so much. He'll tell you, like the reason he liked the dog so much is because it was his dog.
Yeah,
like and he encouraged that behavior. Like he could have made the dog less neurotic,
right? Which
makes me wonder how they raised me, and I'm not kidding. He deliberately made that dog more neurotic. Like the dog finally would walk away from him, and he's like, Ginger, Ginger, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, just let the dog be. Right. And he'd be like, well, no, she's got to be. She's not comfortable unless she's with me. Well, she is comfortable.
Yeah, look at her. She's over there sniffing. She's doing her dog stuff.
Yeah, it's exactly what she'd be doing. Like finally venturing out and sniffing around. And my dad would be going, Ginger, Ginger. So they were both codependent on each other. It was really annoying.
I do find it harder to feel bad for that dog though, just because of the name Ginger. It kind of sounds like that a dog I'm not going to care for.
Yeah, because you like
Ginger.
Marianne.
No, it's that probably part of it. But
Ginger
if the dog's name was Pickles,
yeah.
Hey Pickles, it's like, oh, Pickles is a good dog. Sure, he bites people every once in a while, but Pickles is a dog that's hard to dislike.
There's no way they named the dog Ginger. There's no way it wasn't already named Ginger when they got it. That doesn't seem. But I mean, Babe was a really dumb name too. But they did that.
And
not creative people, my parents.
Neighbor just adopted a dog about, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 years old. Changed the dog's name. Dog's had a name for its whole life, but was not in a place that it was thriving. You know, these people did not know how to keep a dog properly. And the first thing they did, in addition to getting the dog all of its shots and getting the dog spayed, you know, it had just been neglected medically, was change the dog's name. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I would.
Very confusing for the dog.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how we think. It's probably not. The dog's
not
fine.
At all. Yeah.
I don't care.
I'll be this.
It's the tone of your voice. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't care. But yeah, I'd change the dog's name too if I'm gonna have to pay for all this crap. I'm calling it what I want.
Right.
I don't want to say some name I don't want to. But there you have it. I've yet to see. I'll probably never see my father cry unless my mother dies before him. Then, because I can't think of anyone else that my dad would cry. You know.
Does he have any living siblings or anything?
Yeah, but he won't. He didn't cry when his parents died, and then he didn't.
Oh wow.
He didn't. Yeah. I wasn't alive when his dad died, but I guess he really didn't care about that. But he liked his mom, but when his mom died, he didn't cry. And then he won't cry when his sister dies. There's no way. And she's younger than him, too. But I don't think there's any way that he would cry. She's a female and she's younger, so I take it she'll outlive him. But, yeah, I don't see him. I don't see him crying, short of my mom dying before him. Then I would hope he would cry, but I'm not positive he would cry.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you're going to miss that. You should be able to see your father cry.
It's just, yeah. I mean, you know, maybe you do something. Give him something nice and take it away right away. Really. You know?
Does tantrum crying count?
No, because then it's only been a week since I've heard my mom cry.
Right.
If tantrum crying counts. Because my mother is quick to tears. She's cried enough for the two of them combined, believe me. My mom cries so much that it's just annoying. Like, it makes everyone mad. Like, when my mom starts crying, no one goes, "What's wrong?" Everyone's just like, "Oh, shut up." Yeah. Like, seriously, like that kind of crying. Like, where you're just like, it's just automatically like, it's the worst thing you could be doing right now. Just stop crying. Just shut up.
It's like Nathan Lane in The Birdcage.
Yes.
Just constantly moved to tears.
Yes.
Hysterics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not hysterics, just And like everyone, like even people that don't know her, like really are just like, oh, okay.
I know.
Like no one's buying it. Everyone's just like, all right, shut up. Like do anything else. Like kick me in the face. Just don't with this nonsense. All right, very good. It's an exciting time. Lots of something. I don't know if you're going to tease it, so I'm going to wait for you. What's coming up? What happened last night? You tell me, and then I might add something. Go ahead.
Well, there were a couple of basketball games, one of no importance or interest to you, Fred. That would be the Celtics taking on the Portland Trailblazers. But
I watched some of it. I was home.
the game that captivated the nation in women's college hoops.
You didn't watch it.
I did watch it. Parts of it.
You sat down and watched
No,
it.
I didn't. Well, I was sitting somewhere eating, and then I was looking at it.
There's no watching
Sure.
that game.
I did not sit down and watch it as one would sit down and watch a game. No. And then we've got the men's going on tonight. Red Sox in action. A lot to get to.
There's something bigger. There's a huge coaching change in sports.
Yeah.
but
Massive. Overnight.
Overnight.
Yep.
So that's what you should lead with, is because that's the story that no one knows. There was a huge coaching change overnight. Look at me doing Hardy's job for him.
Do you think? Okay.
I
so
don't. I do think people will care, because when I heard it this morning, I was like, "What the hell happened?" And it's weird. So I do think it's a good thing.
I don't think it's all that weird.
Well, then that's worth discussing, isn't it?
We'll discuss it next.
Yes, we will. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and we teased it. A big-time coach with some Massachusetts ties is leaving to coach somewhere else. Isn't that right, Hardy?
That is right. John Calipari will be leaving Kentucky in a deal that is expected to be finalized today. He will be going to Arkansas. Now, Kentucky, of course, out of the tournament as a 3 seed, losing in the first round. So there were a lot of whispers as to how effective he was.
Well, it's more than that. They lost in the first round this year, the second round last year, the first round the year before that. They didn't make the tournament at all.
A lot of pressure on Calipari, and the AD had to come out and say, no, he's coming back next season.
What has happened in college basketball that would affect Calipari? Well, there's several things. The transfer portal, which he's not interested in. If you look at the final tonight, I guess there's only one freshman starter between the two teams. He was uninterested in the transfer portal. There's NIL money, so he can't cheat anymore as effectively. And here's how weird the NIL is. One of the big reasons to go to Arkansas is that the Tyson's Food guy went there. Like the family of Tyson's Foods went there. So I guess they're really big boosters. So they just throw money at the program. And so there's a lot of NIL money. That and Jerry Jones. I guess Jerry Jones and the Tyson Food people. Very interested in paying for the basketball program.
And paying for the coach. And he's been friends with Tyson and he knows him. And this is a deal that on its surface is going to pay him less than the $8.5 million he's making each year at Kentucky, but with incentives could push him north of that number.
I wonder if you could buy just a house the size of like Waltham if you made $8 million in Arkansas. Or if that makes you the richest person in Arkansas, next to Tyson Foods. Like, I mean, just can you imagine the kind of house that he could get in Arkansas?
Yeah.
God.
I mean, think about it. You could put a wall up so only it's so many inbred people could get into your compound.
It'd be like one of those video games where you're building walls and, Clash of Clans.
It's like Deliverance out there. I mean, Arkansas. I mean, have you guys ever been to Arkansas?
No.
Have you ever driven through Arkansas?
I
don't
have.
think so.
Yeah.
You've driven through Arkansas?
Yeah.
Where were you going?
I was going from, I think I went through the corner of Arkansas on my way from Michigan out to New Mexico and Los Angeles.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Were you nervous when you got into Arkansas?
No.
You weren't afraid of being Deliverance, squealed like a pig?
No, you've been in enough places in the country. You've been in, rural Tennessee and rural parts of other states.
It doesn't scare me like Arkansas. Tennessee's got like cities in it. Arkansas doesn't. Arkansas's got nothing.
I tell you, the scariest place I think I was in a rural part of Arizona where I thought, oh, this is where people come literally to hide from society.
That's the desert, yes. I could imagine that being scary. I would not like that either. I'm no fan of the desert. That's weird to me. Yes, that's weird people go to the desert. But when you say Arizona, it doesn't scare me. Because I've been to it just annoys me because of Phoenix. Tucson's all right. But Arkansas is like, why would you ever go there? Like, why? Like, there'll never be a reason to go to Arkansas.
Something about cruising through the backwater south is a little different than driving through the desert, I would imagine.
I think it's the same. And I'd rather be in the South. Hardy's right, because I do have experience. I lived in Atlanta, and then my parents live in Tennessee, and they live in kind of a hick area. But not like Arkansas. Like, there's a major university, University of Tennessee, which I have to figure, even though it's not a good college, is better than Arkansas. I don't know. Go ahead.
So he will be leaving, and, you mentioned all the NIL money that Tyson is able to throw at the program there. But I heard one theory very early on that Calipari, regardless of where he's been, whether it was at UMass, Kentucky, and it was kind of not a marriage of convenience, but in Kentucky, they needed him there and they needed him for the program. But somebody said he never really felt wanted this time around. And Calipari is one of these guys who wants to feel and needs to feel wanted and courted. And that is what is maybe more appealing to him about this move to Arkansas than anything else. Oh, they recognize my brilliance. They recognize, the greatness that is John Calipari. They don't appreciate it in Kentucky
took him
anymore.
for granted?
Yes.
No, okay, well, he was going to get fired from Kentucky, and that's why he left, is because they had to make an announcement last week they were keeping him, which means you're about to get fired. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Arkansas, he was not their first choice. Arkansas, this is why this is so interesting to me. Arkansas made overtures at two other guys. One guy from Kansas State who decided to stay at Kansas State, and let me see here. They reached out to the guy from Kansas State and someone else that's not overly impressive. So now, I guess they're going to take a shot at Billy Donovan.
Kentucky is, yeah.
Yes.
He was an assistant under Pitino for 5 years.
Jay Wright. Yeah.
Chris Beard, Ole Miss, was the other guy.
Okay.
That Arkansas.
So Ole Miss and Kansas State guys did not take this Arkansas job. That's kind of weird, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, in our lifetime, Arkansas has had a good team.
Why would why would a guy go back to Ole Miss and not go to Arkansas?
Why would
Kansas State, why would you not go to the SEC?
I mean, Kansas State especially. I mean, Kansas State is not a very good program. So I guess Scott Drew is and then there's all these questions with Scott Drew. So Kentucky's not guaranteed some phenomenal coach. And I just think it's funny that they tried two guys before Calipari. So Calipari, because
the money they were offering apparently was significantly less than what Calipari got.
I
they were
would
offering
imagine
$4 or $5 million
Yeah.
a year to those two guys, or upwards of $8 for Calipari.
I'd imagine, but they did take a swing at two other guys, and they have plenty of money because they don't have to pay Calipari because he left them. If they would have fired him, they would have owed him like $30 million,
Right.
but they don't owe him anything, so they have as much money as they want to spend.
Yep.
So they wanted those two guys. I mean, they wanted to coach. They wanted him to coach before Calipari. But this is interesting because everything I've heard from college basketball experts is more of a question of why Arkansas hired him than why did Calipari leave Kentucky. Because again, Calipari was going to get fired because this was he kind of knew he was going to get fired. And
the scary thing is, NIL money accepted, he's still bringing in great recruiting classes.
yeah, but again,
he just can't coach them once they get there.
No, but that's not. Again, if you look at the national championship game, there's only one freshman starter. These teams, it's not the way things are done anymore. It's not even so much recruiting freshmen anymore as it is working the transfer portal and getting kids to stay.
Right.
And so his method of one and done, the conversation in Kentucky was that his method of one and done just won't be effective to win at college basketball anymore. Listen, he's got more kids getting drafted than anyone else. He's got probably better talent than anyone else, but they lost to Oakland University in the first round. And that's because Oakland University has got a bunch of seniors. They have grown men.
They got beat
guys
by
that
a
played
kid
together.
They got beat by a kid who was in his 6th year. That three-point shooter for Oakland.
Yeah,
he was
the
in his
old
6th year, and he was 24 years old.
Yeah, and he who had started at a college in Michigan that
Division II school for 5 years.
no
Yes.
joke, I could have played baseball for that college. There's no I was offered spots in the baseball team at two colleges that are similar to that college, maybe even better colleges than that college. I mean, that kid was playing at Curry College. He was playing at some dopey school, and beat NBA kids. So there you go.
Yeah, and there's certainly this year, but you go back to 19 when they lost to a 15 seed. That stink is hard to wash off, and I know it's been 5 years since then, but that's in the background. If it were like a one-off losing in the first round this year,
Right.
You had an even worse loss a few years ago before this whole transfer portal thing made a mess of college basketball. What's your excuse then? So,
They didn't make the tournament in 2021. I mean,
Yeah.
it was COVID, didn't make the tournament, and they've lost early in the tournament every year since then. So, yeah, he's not had success. I mean, I think he can coach basketball. It's just that his method of doing things is sort of antiquated. You can't just bring in a bunch of like one and done kids now and win. You can bring in a lot of one and done kids and really stack your resume with NBA players, but that doesn't translate to winning in college basketball anymore.
Now, do you really think that he would have been fired, Fred?
Yes.
They would have, because they were going to be on the hook for over $30 million to pay him off.
They were considering firing him this year, and short of like a long run in the tournament next year, they were going to fire him. And they wouldn't have had to. I mean, obviously they'd owe him less money, I suppose, if they fired him next year as opposed to this year.
But it was just short term. I agree with Fred. It's a short term. He barely made it into this offseason, regardless of the money that they were going to offer him.
Well, that's why he left.
Money that they,
yeah, that's why he left. He didn't.
Yeah.
He left because he knew he was going to get fired. I mean, there's no other way to explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not making. He's making less money on paper without bonuses. He didn't go for money. Let's put it that way. Kentucky's a much better program than Arkansas. I mean, he left because he knew he was going to get fired. I mean, he did. I mean, there's not being appreciated, but, I mean, you're in Lexington, Kentucky. There's no other place. Lawrence, Kansas, there might be one other place in the planet that cares about their college basketball coach more.
Yeah.
I mean, Arkansas is not a basketball school necessarily. It's they care more about their football team than they do their basketball team, according to people I've heard from Arkansas today. All right. Well, anyway,
there's Chapel Hill, but there are actually other things going on at those schools that people care about.
I guess. I mean, North Carolina is sort of like a school.
Yeah.
Like, with academics.
Yeah.
Like Duke has things going on other than their basketball team.
Yeah.
right.
I mean, there's other blue blood programs. But I guess my point is, that in Lexington, in Lawrence, Kansas, I think that you're like a sensation, like you're the guy. I mean, there's a reason in Lexington, Kentucky, that you're making $8.5 million.
Yeah, he is the highest paid state employee.
Yes.
Right? Highest paid
there's
state
no question.
employee in Arkansas. He will be the highest paid state employee. That's what they care about. That's what they do.
Unless you're Tyson Foods, who, I mean, every time you have one of their sweet, sweet, delicious frozen chicken nuggets, just know.
Well,
another player.
Exactly. Other college hoops news, Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes did what everyone else did all season long. They lost to South Carolina. In the women's national championship game, 87-75, Caitlin Clark, very sad. Last time she's going to be wearing that delightful yellow, black, white jersey thing that Iowa wears.
Last time I'm going to put on an Iowa jersey, so I think just reflecting back and soaking in everything that I was able to do, because anybody other than me and Coach Bluter never thought this was possible.
After watching the game on Friday, and Fred, I'm guessing you watched neither one?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you watch Friday night, John?
I watched part. I didn't see the whole thing, but yes.
Everybody was locked in. John's
I was
got a lot of free time.
yesterday. It was on in the house yesterday.
Yeah. Sunday afternoon. John's home.
Yes. The Friday night game, Caitlin Clark ended up having a decent second half, and that's how they ended up winning that game, by coming out of halftime and having a good third quarter. But man, was she off in that first half, and all the hype. You could kind of see like the pressure starting to find.
You talking about
cracks.
Friday night?
Friday night, yeah. And then last night, I mean, what do? You go up against a team that's taller, bigger, faster, better. They did what they did to every single team all season long, apparently. First South Carolina game I've watched this year, but, I can see why they beat everybody.
The analysis of it was that the woman that was guarding Caitlin Clark knew that she liked to go left and shoot right.
I see.
And I guess no one else had been able to break that down until the
no one
national
else had
championship
figured that out
game.
after all these games and all those points?
Apparently not. But you will see Caitlin Clark, I have no doubt, in the three-point contest at the All-Star game, the men's All-Star game, and that will be the next time you see Caitlin Clark. So congratulations.
Wait a minute. The WNBA draft is going to get televised. No one's going to watch that?
No.
Oh.
No. As much as everyone's patting themselves on the back.
She's going to the Indiana Fever a week from tonight, Fred.
Yeah.
Fred, they're expanding coverage of women's college hoops based on this tournament this year, so it's going to be more accessible. Don't you think you'll be watching next year?
No, and neither will you. And you can talk about anyone else who's coming up, but it will not be like this again. So it is. And everyone who's telling you that it will be is either being disingenuous or like riding a wave of like Sylvester the Cat going to a pie on a windowsill. Like they're just riding a false wave of hope.
And listen, I to anybody who watched it, enjoyed it, good. That's what you're supposed to do. It's entertainment. But don't fool yourself into thinking that you're so into this thing now just because you were wrapped up in the Caitlin Clark and the Angel Reese thing. Like, no, it was a nice blip. It was fun to watch for a few minutes, but now that's over.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Did you watch Michael Phelps swim?
Yeah,
sure.
Who's swimming in the Olympics this year?
No idea.
Okay, very good. There's my exercise for the day.
I think that Travis something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
probably a Trevor.
That's what you're.
Chad. It's always a Chad. It's always a Chad.
Did you watch Carl Lewis in one of his Olympics?
Oh,
in the long jump.
Did I?
Oh, of course.
Who's in the long jump this year for the United States? Yeah, very good.
No idea.
Brian.
People are like, oh, there's this girl at USC who's really good. Okay, it's not gonna. It doesn't. No one cares. It's not. It was wonderful. Enjoy it. Maybe more girls will play play basketball, which I suppose is all right. But my daughter plays it. But let's be honest, this is not going to translate into this happening again anytime soon. It might in our lifetime, but not anytime soon. Yeah, Brian Lochte. All right, what's coming up? What are we going to talk about?
Celtics says they have just a few games left in their regular season. They played yesterday. Red Sox says their home opener looms. That's happening tomorrow. We'll tell you what happened over the weekend.
All right, very good. We'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics beat Portland at TD Garden last night, 124-107. Jaylen Brown, 26 points. He went over 10,000 for his career. Celtics have 4 games left. They play their final road game tomorrow night in Milwaukee. In college basketball, University of Kentucky head coach John Calipari has left the school. He's agreed to a new 5-year contract at Arkansas. Men's national championship game tonight, Connecticut against Purdue. The women's title game yesterday, South Carolina beat Iowa 87-75. Patriots have re-signed Kyle Duggar to a 4-year, $58 million contract. And the Red Sox beat the Angels yesterday 12-2 out west. They've begun the season with a record of 7-3. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Massachusetts Energy Marketers Association, clean, renewable bioheat fuel. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
Pastrnak got that shot away. Shoots, he's got.
Hi, this is David Pastrnak.
Pastrnak for the low laser.
And you're listening to 98.5 The Sports.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. This hour of our show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And by the way, the men's national championship game is at 9:20 tonight. So, I mean, what's the point of even turning it on? I'm not going to see any of the second half. So, I won't watch it. So, that's good. I don't have any idea why it's on at 9:20. I mean, that is alienating the East Coast. I mean, there's a lot of people that can't stay up until midnight. I mean, that thing's going to go till midnight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of people that can't stay up till midnight. So, they've just alienated the East Coast for, I guess, West Coast ears. So, I don't know quite why they're doing that. But there you go, 9:20. Could have been at 8:20, but it's at 9:20. All right.
Jesus, Jones. Yeah, I don't know why. I will set an alarm, though, to watch One Shining Moment. I will I will get up and watch that.
Well, just the idea that Iron Eagle's doing instead of Jim Nance takes away 100% of the douchiness. So it just won't be as corny. Just Jim Nance has this air of just phony like reverence for everything that I hate.
The gravitas.
Get ready this coming weekend.
Oh,
that's different. That now that event deserves it. So for that, you not only give him a pass, you thank him for his efforts in that regard.
Yeah, Hardy's already lining up guests after the show on Thursday. He was lining up guests for Wednesday to talk Masters.
Yeah, remind me to bring that up. We got a conflict on Wednesday. Whoever is booked at 9 a.m. or that they're getting bumped. You know, we got to switch things around there.
Yeah, he's got a Masters guest. He needs to shoehorn in.
Oh, it's shoehorn. It's
sweet.
You know, let's talk about the Celtics. They played the Portland Trailblazers. Jaylen Brown, 26 points, and reached a milestone in the process.
Jaylen Brown looking for history, attacks the paint, hangs in the air, switches to the left hand and scores. And Jaylen Brown with his 10,000th career point puts the Celtics up by 9. Ding! 15th Celtic to do it.
What?
Mm-hmm. I don't know what that is.
That's Cedric Maxwell commemorating the occasion.
Oh, ding dong. Hello, sir.
Yep.
Ding!
Ding dong. Hello.
10,000 at the door.
Ding!
Ding dong. Hello. Yes. That you rang.
Ding! 15th
Hello.
Celtic.
Yes. Mr. Grandy, hello.
So the Celtics get the win, 124-107. Kristaps Porzingis, third straight double-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds. He only played 27 minutes. Peyton Pritchard out there a lot and hitting some threes. He had 20 points in the win for the Celtics. So it's really just waiting around for the playoffs. That's all we're doing right now.
We're going to be waiting a while.
We're just going to be waiting.
We got the play-in stuff next week, and it's going to be, 10, 11, 12 days until they get started for the playoffs? It's going to be
really?
a while. Well, yeah, the season doesn't end until Sunday, and then you have the play-in games at the beginning of next week.
I have a question for you. Sean Grandy a couple times has said, I've heard him twice do this. He says... and I want your honest opinion. He says the Celtics have, how many home games left?
3.
Okay, yeah. All right, John.
Ding!
Whatever time
Yep.
he's saying it, it's like the Celtics have blah, blah, blah home games left. The real important one, the only one that's important is the Knicks game. And then you think, well, Gorman's last game is Friday where they're honoring Mike Gorman. Is this the idea that I've heard him now twice in 2 different games say the important game, the one that you should be interested in out of the home games is the Knicks game? Do you think part of that is a passive-aggressive attack on Mike Gorman night?
I do not. I do not think that's a passive-aggressive attack on Gorman at all.
All right. If you heard him leading into something twice where he said, and the big one, the big game coming up, the big home game coming up, wouldn't you assume he was going to say, is Sunday afternoon my Gorman day?
Maybe, but I honestly, I think Grandy's caught up in Knicks playoff position and stuff like that.
Why is the Knicks game? But why specifically the Knicks game? And don't be a dork.
I have no idea.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know.
Because it doesn't it's not like an obvious thing. Like
Don't be a dork. Well, I mean, Fred.
I know it's almost an
Come on
impossible
now.
thing, but you go because the Knicks are playing. Like you just state something
Well,
obvious.
I could go all Poindexter on
no,
you,
no,
but I don't know the answer.
No, I shouldn't have said dork. I should have said don't be obvious.
I don't know the answer.
Well, the Knicks are the playoff team. Well, I understand that, but wouldn't you think though that you would? I don't know.
No, it is. I mean, it's something that you'll watch, but I don't know how much of the Gorman stuff is going to make it onto TV for the audience.
But if you're making a specific point, and listen, I could be wrong, but if you're making a specific point that one home game that's coming up matters, he said this I think I heard him do it during the Oklahoma City game, and I heard him do it yesterday. Specifically, the team's got this many home games left, and the one that matters is the Knicks game. Because none of them matter. The Knicks game doesn't matter. The Knicks aren't in any competition with the Celtics. They're not like a first-round opponent. Like, the Knicks don't matter.
They would be a second-round. To be obvious, they would be a second-round opponent,
Okay,
possibly.
it doesn't matter, but possibly. But,
Yes.
I mean, this is... I mean, to highlight specifically that game on two different occasions seems to me maybe a passive-aggressive.
Yeah, but how could you make an argument that just because they're honoring Mike Gorman, that makes the game important?
Because in honesty, none of the home games matter. They don't matter anymore. It's just a matter of resting players, and that you would think if you're making this big point that only one of the games matters, that you would go because they're honoring my colleague Mike Gorman. Is what I would think. That's what I always think he's going to say, but then he goes, "Oh, it's the Knicks game." Like none of the other games matter. That's right. Maybe it's just me.
I think it's you. I think you're looking for a reason to be offended.
I always am.
Yeah.
That's kind of your thing.
Yeah, I send a lot of complaint letters out. I'm calling Tyson Foods about this Calipari situation.
Red Sox ended up taking 2 or 3 from the Angels after completing the sweep of the Athletics. So don't look now. 10 games into the season, 7-3. And the one Red Sox player that people actually know had a home run yesterday.
Brought him up to the big leagues. This is swinging to drive center field. Trout backing up, turning around, and see you later. Boy, that was hit a ton. Rapid a shot to center. And the Red Sox with their second home run in the inning to take a 2-0 advantage.
That one was over early as they go on to win 12-2.
You can say that again.
That one was over early as they went on to win 12-2.
Sting!
Thank you. Tomorrow they have the home opener. And weather-wise, Fred, after a crappy few days here in Boston, wow, are the baseball gods smiling on the Red Sox and the local 9. 55 degrees. Sun is going to be out.
Gorgeous.
Grand old day at the Grand Old Ballpark.
Tickets still available.
Yeah.
What time is that game at?
2.
2 o'clock.
Oh, good. Well, at least it's a day game.
Yes.
Because they don't have enough day games. I'm being dead serious.
I agree with you there.
I don't know why the Tigers have so many day games. Like everything's a day game until it gets warm. I don't know why they just don't have day games.
Just throw fans a bone. Make the home games in April start at 6 instead of 7.
And they're
something.
They're like, well, it's Nesson. Well, I'm not making this up when I tell you no one's watching the games. The ratings on Nesson are abhorrent. The ratings on the radio for the Red Sox are even worse. Like they just. So wouldn't you just play them during the day just for the health of your players? And just in 1 minute, Glass now, the pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, Major League, the Players Association has said that the pitch clock is making pitchers get hurt. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
But what Glass now says does make sense. He says when they got rid of made them stop using sticky stuff, that the ball's impossible to grip. You got to grip it harder, and it's harder to throw. I believe that. So I do think
sense.
I don't know why they banned putting suntan lotion on the ball. Like I mean they work the ball with mud and everything.
Right.
It seems incredibly arbitrary.
And there's a lot of hitters who tried to come out, and it certainly wasn't unanimous, but there were hitters who did say at the time, I want that pitcher to have better control of the ball, the less chance that he's going to let one fly and I'm going to end up, getting hit there were a handful who said, yeah, that was part of the game. That's what they were used to. It was fine. They didn't have to go about changing it.
Like, you're doctoring the ball. Like, I don't know if it affects the flight path of the ball that much. It's just a matter of being able to get a good grip on it.
Spin rates are down all over the place. It's funny thing is, Glasnow has started well for the Dodgers too.
No, I don't think he's saying that he can't pitch. I think he's saying that what he said was, my arm feels worse the next day now. Yeah. Because it's not the pitch clock. That's ridiculous. That's just nonsense. The idea that you have to speed things up in 30 seconds, that doesn't have any. I mean, come on. I'm not a doctor, but that has no effect on your arm. The how rapidly you have to throw.
That was the players saying do something. That was the players saying, enough of the players saying we don't like the pitch clock, do something. And Tony Clark, who's in charge, rushed something.
Well, Tony
out.
Clark's a terrible, terrible representative. But the sticky stuff makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense that your arm, that you have to grip the ball differently, that you're tightening your grip, that you got to like jerk your arm more to get motion on the ball. All that makes sense. The pitch clock made no sense. So good for Tower Glasnow for saying that.
And very quickly, Trevor's story to the 10-day.
They put him on the injured list. That he's out, be out for the season.
That might be looking at surgery, but that sucks.
Sure sounded like that yesterday. It sounded like he was going for surgery yesterday.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great.
No.
Ding! All right, when we come back, Hardy is gonna eclipse nuts. He's got a big old thing. He's got brain teasers for us, Johnny.
Okay.
We got that going in just a moment.
Sting! More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
starts, and that included number 10,000 of his career.
It's been ups, it's been downs. Things haven't gone my way. Things have, and, here we are. So, I'm incredibly grateful, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Celtics now have 62 wins with 4 games left in the regular season. They visit Milwaukee tomorrow night. In college basketball, some big news overnight. John Calipari has left Kentucky after 15 seasons, 410 wins, and 1 national championship. He has reportedly agreed to a 5-year contract to take over at Arkansas. It'll be Connecticut against Purdue tonight in Glendale, Arizona for the men's national championship. UConn is trying to repeat as the champion. In Cleveland yesterday, South Carolina beat Iowa 87-75 for the women's title and an undefeated season. Caitlin Clark scored 30 points for the Hawkeyes in the loss. She's expected to be the overall number 1 pick in the WNBA draft a week from tonight. Patriots have re-signed safety Kyle Duggar to a reported 4-year, $58 million contract with $32 million guaranteed. Today also marks the beginning of the Patriots' voluntary off-season program. And the Red Sox got 6 shutout innings from Tanner Houck. They beat the Angels again yesterday 12-2. Reese McGuire added a homer and a career-high 5 RBIs. Sox are 7-3. They play Baltimore in their home opener tomorrow. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Okers Company. Looking to upgrade your technology? Visit okers.com to find out how. Proud partners of your New England Patriots. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
It's not just the games. It's the preseason, the postseason, the drafts, the trades, front office drama, the locker room banter, and you talking all about
blah, 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 blah.
On Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Now, more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports.
All right, well, this is not good anymore. Turn it off.
Well, it's almost over.
No, it's not.
Do you really not know how to turn it off?
Not.
All right, ruin it.
Never ends.
It's only 10 more seconds.
That's what you think.
I have like limited control. I can make it louder, but I can
Turn it off.
All right, I think I just was given control of your pod.
No, it finally faded out. That was it.
No,
Fred, it was
you didn't
only
do anything.
Okay. This shows how impatient you are. That bed was only 1:52 seconds. So
Which in
why
radio
don't you
is-
calm down?
It was
okay?
only. It was
That's
only a
less
fifth of
than
the song.
20% of the song.
There are
Jesus,
so
and it's
many.
less than 10% of the break.
So many events going on with this eclipse, but not all of them I'm about to tell you boys about are real. It will be your job to tell me which is the real event and which is the fake event or news story regarding the eclipse. John, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Fred, are you ready?
No.
Okay. Bark in the dark. Bring your furry friend to the Mansfield Street
Oh,
Dog
that's
Park
real.
starting
That's
at 2
absolutely
p.m.
real.
Yeah.
That's real.
All attendees
It's sad.
Very
at our
true.
Canine Eclipse Party will receive commemorative poop bags and eye protection for both dogs and their humans. Note, some dogs are sensitive to astronomical events, so have a leash ready if your pooch becomes agitated or distressed.
Yeah, because the dog. Can you imagine if you put glass? I don't know how you sedate the animal, but putting glasses on a dog, they would be my dog's stomach in 10 seconds, and they'd be in its poo later that evening. Like my dog would eat those in. Here, put on these glasses, would you? No, just leave them on your face and don't do it.
So you're going real or fake?
Oh, that's absolutely
That's real. Oh,
That's
that's real.
Yeah.
That is a fake one that I made up.
Really?
Wow.
Finally, I got you guys. We've done this once or twice before, and I got shut out. So I'm very happy with myself right now.
That is not real.
That is fake. It is a real dog park, the Mansfield Street Dog Park, but I made everything else up. All right. Moving on to Dr. Steve Taubman's Mind Magic. This is taking place in Burlington.
Yeah, it's true because you would know. You're probably friends with the guy.
Mind Magic combines comedy, mind reading, psychology, and theater into an interactive experience of wonder, awe, mystery, and astonishment. Quote, like the eclipse, Dr. Steve captivates the imagination, casts a shadow of doubt on the limits of reality, and leaves an indelible impression on the soul. Real or fake, John?
I'm a little taken aback that we got the first one wrong, but I'm going to say that's real.
Fred?
Okay, I'm going to say it's fake, and I'll tell you why. It's because he said Dr. Steve. It's rips. Dummy. And then he said for the soul, which I don't think that someone would say. So I am saying that is incorrect. That is fake.
All right.
John?
Yep.
Congratulations.
Total eclipse of the heart.
Dr. Steve Taubman's Mind Magic in Burlington, and that is ripped right from the website, word for word, including the indelible impression on the soul.
It's just dumb enough to be true.
You know how he found that? It's a mailing list.
The magician's website.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mind
Well,
readers and magicians and
Magicians
charlatans.
Inc.
I was actually hypnotized at one of those things once. I went fully under at a group setting. It was in Carlsbad, New Mexico. And it was like, just in a restaurant. Hey, we're doing a hypnosis night. We're all down there like on a station trip. And I didn't get called up on stage, but the guy said, all right, if, you're sitting out there, listen to my voice. And, sometimes a few people will go under that aren't actually up here on the stage. And I would, we had been like driving all day and I had a big meal and a couple of Coronas and I'm feeling like relaxed. And next thing I know, I am like, well, I didn't know, but I was out. I was gone, essentially asleep, but under hypnosis in my chair. And he brought me up there and did all kinds of wacky stuff, which I do remember. I just, the only way to describe it is I didn't care. I just didn't care. Everything this guy did was with the promise of just do this one thing and you can go back to sleep. It was such a relaxed, peaceful state that he had me in. He's like, just take your shirt off and sing Achy Breaky Heart like a Japanese person would, and you can go back to sleep. And I'd say, okay. And I did it.
That get you fired now. Now, I mean, doing that
no
hop
kidding.
sing voice is not
kidding.
good. Now, no, all right. I forget the contest. I want to hear this. How did it feel to be under hypnosis? Like, what did it feel like?
Amazing. Like, so relaxed, not asleep, but the most sedate, almost like a chemical sedation. Felt so good. You know how you feel when you wake up after your colonoscopy and everything is just like, everything's cool, everything's mellow. That's how the guy had me and the few other people that he put under, just like in your chair, eyes closed, not asleep, hearing everything he said. And it was this bargain. It was this constant bargaining. Okay, when I snap my fingers, you will wake up. You will come up here. But I promise you, once you come up here, I will put you back into the state you're feeling right now. I'd be like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it because I just wanted this to continue for as long as it could. And it went on for, I don't know how long it went on for. And I remember at the time, I remembered every single thing, but you just didn't care. It didn't matter. It really was bizarre. And I was the biggest skeptic of that stuff going into it. I thought, these people don't really get hypnotized, please.
And you didn't want to do it again? Like you didn't see, not like on stage, but you didn't go seek out like a hypnotist, like to put you in that state again?
Oh, no. And I didn't feel like there was anything like stop smoking or anything through hypnosis. Like I would do that now. If there was, if I had anything wrong in my life,
you'd
I'd
have
go
to be,
do it.
well, your addiction to nicotine is really something. But I will tell you this, is that, okay, so who's the guy from the Hillbilly Comics, the guy who's Ron White? Ron White, the Matthew Perry, and a couple other guys separate from each other have all talked about this guy in California who works out of his garage. They all explain it the same way. He works out of his garage. It's like phenomenally expensive, but he can get you to quit smoking through hypnosis. And he got Ron White to stop drinking. Ron White said he'd been to 5 rehabs. He thinks they're a waste of money. And this guy who hypnotized him got him to stop drinking. I'm sure he's in programs and stuff, but this is what put him over the edge. So you think, so you are a proponent, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
That hypnosis could improve your life, that someone could hypnotize. How would that work, do you think?
I don't.
Someone who's been, now you,
Okay,
I'm
so
fascinated.
so I will tell you this. There was one thing that he did that he said, and the person I was with said, at some point later tonight, you two are going to be alone, and if you snap your fingers twice, he's going to go into overdrive mode or something like that, right? And that worked. And even though I kind of knew what was happening, it was that power of suggestion that there was something. It's just what you were supposed to do. It's almost like it takes over like the morality center of your brain. It's like, oh, I would never, steal from a store. You don't do that. It's right there. You could, but you wouldn't do that. And that was the thing. The power of suggestion is like, no, this is what you do now. This is what happens. I think that it would wear off after a while and something in your brain would kind of like override it. But in short term, like maybe for a week or two, and if you were to do it on a regular basis, yes, I think that could work.
Wait, so the guy said to like a girl you were dating, when you snap your fingers twice, like he'll like want to have sex?
Yeah, he'll turn into an animal or something like that. Yeah.
So how did that make you like, did you just like really wanted to have sex?
Yeah, it just worked.
So you got an erection and like really wanted to have sex.
Right. I don't know what you do. You just
answer the question.
Filthy words, but yes, it made.
I'm actually being genuinely inquisitive.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, if you had
made
erectile
me
dysfunction,
immediately amorous.
Really? So like, if you had erectile dysfunction, you're saying that like if you specifically had like if like you were having trouble getting aroused, that if this guy had hypnotized you and the person had snapped their fingers, you think you would have got an erection?
I don't know if it fixes physiological.
No,
stuff.
but if it was mental,
yeah, I bet it would work.
That's wild. I mean, really, if you can do that, and it would reprogram your brain to react differently by vocal suggestion.
And I wouldn't even want to do it to anyone else. I'd want it to be done to me. Like if you could, correct like all your phobias and anxiety, things that give you anxiety, all your obsessive thinking. Like if you could do that through hypnosis.
Yeah, somebody had a cue, snap their fingers, who just said "sting," and then everything went away.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah, well,
I like that.
We'll look into it for you. All right, I got one more.
All right.
Ben and Jerry's Eclipse Sun Days. Take a tour in the path of taste bud totality. Stop by the Ben & Jerry's factory, 1281 Waterbury Stowe Road in Waterbury. Sample the Eclipse Sun, S-U-N, separated day, made especially for this historic event.
Yeah.
In fact, I would be disappointed if they didn't do that. I mean, they're in the path of it.
Yeah.
Black hole sun.
They're not doing that?
Fooled you guys twice.
Wow.
Yeah, fooled you guys twice.
I was going to say that you fooled me 3 times, but I was going to say, like, leave it to the hippies just to not even take advantage of it.
That makes all the sense. That's very good, Hardy.
But yeah, well, it's almost too real. Like, wouldn't you... Like you would do that.
They should have done that.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of like not. You'd want to fool us on something preposterous. You wouldn't want to fool us on something that they should have done.
One more. Rock the Eclipse in Rochester, New York. Concerts, guest speakers, and a taping of the comedy podcast Laugh of Totality.
If you're laughing at it this hard and you wrote it.
That would be a shame.
That would really be a shame. Mr. Fallon.
I'm saying that's real to save yourself. Save you from yourself.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say. I can't believe that there's a podcast out of Rochester, New York. It's almost impossible.
Laugh of Totality. All right, congratulations, boys.
All right, we'll be back. Conor Ryan. I was at the Bruins game on Saturday. Cheering. I met the new Matt Chmura guy.
Oh.
So it was so even though the station said they paid for the tickets, it was essentially at that point a work event. But they're in sea cloths. Wife or sister was there. She was very nice.
Tina?
A gland-handed. Yes.
Never met Tina before?
No.
Oh,
very nice woman.
Oh yeah.
Hardy knows everybody.
I know Tina.
He knows
I
Andy
know
Wong.
Tina as well.
We're going to explore his relationship with Andy Wong. He knows. How do you know Tina?
I've met her. She's in the building.
My wife.
She works here.
I met Tina through my wife years ago before we even worked for Beasley.
Well, that must be nice.
Sting.
Yep.
There you go. All right. We'll be back. Talk to Conor Ryan as the Bruins get set for the postseason.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Conor Ryan covers the Bruins for the Boston Globe. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Conor Ryan, hello, sir.
How's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. Over the last couple games, Carolina Panthers, two tough teams that are playoff teams that, you know, you would think that could give the Bruins a run in the playoffs. They win both games. What did this mean to you, and who specifically has stood out as someone who would be effective in a playoff series?
Yeah, I think you look at the fact they're 5-1 since Jim Montgomery more or less really called them out and had them do wind sprints during a practice, and they've responded in a couple of pretty impressive tests since then. And I think you look at especially that game on the road against Carolina, this home win against Florida. As you said, those are two teams that kind of have the blueprint as to how to, you know, give the Bruins fits, especially in the playoffs, as we saw last year. And whether it's in Carolina where they build an early lead and hold on late, you know, they get an empty net goal, they close things out there, or a team like Florida who, yeah, they're maybe scuffling a little bit in the standings the last few weeks, but still play a really physical game. And the Bruins more or less matched them in those games. Those are two games that you look at the Bruins and where they've struggled throughout this season at times. And those are two wins that they probably don't win back in, you know, earlier this year when you see how they've struggled. And I think when you look at some players that have stood out, yes, of course, if this team goes on a run, you're looking at the Omarks, the David Pasternaks, all those players. But I look at guys like Parker Wotherspoon and Andrew Peeke, these guys that are kind of under the radar, you know, additions. You know, people didn't really expect that much from Peeke, but they were physical. They were doing kind of the little things. They were matched up against guys like Sam Bennett and Matthew Tkachuk on Saturday against Florida. And those are kind of the guys you need in a playoff run, the guys that play a pretty simple game, but they'll get involved after the whistle. They'll box players out of the net front and do maybe those little things that can be the difference in a 7-game series where the margins are very, very slim.
Yeah, it's the physicality that I think we're all wondering about with this team and how that was going to factor into the postseason. But it's interesting, Conor. I wonder if it has something to do with these guys being a little fresher, being up and getting their opportunity to, you know, it's almost like a minor league mentality. It's like, I'm going to make my mark on this game somehow. I'm probably not going to do it by getting on the score sheet, but I can do it by either moving guys out from in front of the net or going into the dirty areas and fighting for pucks, which is something that, let's face it, the Bruins have been kind of out-muscled and outworked in those areas in previous postseasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you look at, you know, guys like Wotherspoon and Peeke, and across the NHL, you look at a lot of these teams that have put together pretty good runs, especially the way they're built defensively. There's about 3 or 4 of those guys on that defense that maybe don't stand out to you, but like the Zach Bogosians, these kind of bigger defensemen that play a simple game. Maybe their underlying stats don't look all that great, what have you, but like Radko Gudas, right? He's a pretty spectacular player, but you saw him in the playoffs. You noticed him last year for Florida, just doing the simple things, right? You know, landing hits, you know, pushing guys out of grade A ice and doing those things that contribute to the overall team game. And, you know, whether it's guys like Wotherspoon or Peeke, or even look up front, there's so many guys on this team like a Danton Heinen or Morgan Geekie who have been granted, you know, new opportunities, greater roles, and they've run with it. And that's what this team needs. They need pretty much everyone pulling on that same rope if they want to go far. They can't just rely on the goalies or Pastrnak or Marchand alone just to carry them however long they go.
So, Conor, are you sold that this will kind of translate into success in the playoffs? We all remember what happened last year. Bruins are playing real, real well right now. Are you sold that this can kind of get them beyond the first round?
Well, I think it probably depends on who exactly they match up in the first round, right? Because right now it's looking like it's a Bruins-Tampa Bay matchup, which is probably the worst possible draw the Bruins could get, right? When you look at, one, the fact that Tampa's playing really well down the stretch. They've obviously got a lot of high-end talent. Maybe they're not as deep as they were in years past, but when you've got guys like Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point, Stamkos at the top of the lineup, they can still do a lot of damage there. Vasilevsky, his resume speaks for himself. He's coming off of back surgery and his numbers maybe have dipped this year, but he's still a guy that you look at him in the playoffs in a best-of-7 series. You probably don't like how that's going to go out for the Bruins, but I think you look at just the way they're playing right now, they have a shot against pretty much any team out there. And I think you look at where those flaws were earlier on in the season, where they couldn't, snuff out these third period, they couldn't hold these leads. They weren't answering teams' physicality. They're playing at a high level right now. And I think you look at how they're going into this postseason as compared to last. Like, listen, we know this is not the same record-setting team as last year, but it felt like that team for the last 6-7 weeks of the regular season were just ready to get to the playoffs, right? They didn't really have a lot of tough matchups down the stretch. They were more concerned with making sure guys were healthy, which obviously didn't work out the way the year ended. This team, the fact that they're able to, go against teams like Nashville and Carolina and Florida twice, and they've won in a variety of ways, and they've passed all these tests. It just seems like they're finding their game, and a lot of players are finding traction at the perfect time.
What's the strategy for the rest of the season? How do you play it if you're Montgomery? Goaltending, and also in terms of how do you feel about resting players and things of that nature?
Yeah, it does seem like there's a few guys that probably could benefit from a day or two off, like Brad Marchand, who's been fighting a few things throughout the year. Obviously, a guy who's going on 36, so hopefully they're able to carve out a rest day for him. Again, easier said than done with a guy who does not like to voluntarily come out of the lineup, but we saw last year how much maybe some extra rest on the stretch could have benefited them. I think for Montgomery, the biggest thing is just finding out where the pieces fall in place with the rest of their lineup. Like hopefully you get Pat Maroon in. They're aiming for Saturday's game in Pittsburgh. There's a chance for him to get in the lineup and see just what you have in the player, where, they acquired him thinking he could add some physicality to the bottom six. So hopefully he gets in the lineup. And then it comes down to, I think, just how they're approaching the goalie situation, right? This is what we've talked about all year long. Jim Montgomery's mentioned the, rolling with the goalie rotation since November on. Again, it's easier to talk about the benefits of the goalie rotation in November in the regular season. That's another challenge entirely to actually carry it out and see it through once you get to mid-April and you get into an actual best-of-7 series. But finding out how they handle that rotation, and most importantly, who gets the start in game one, probably the biggest task for Montgomery in these next, 4 regular season games.
Do you think it's the debate? You don't think it's Ullmark for sure?
They've still left it up in the air. They've mentioned that even though you would think that where they play Carolina again, you'd want to give Ullmark maybe another start, just so that way Swayman and Ullmark can both play a pretty tough team in Carolina. It could be the case where they still go with Swayman. They've pretty much rotated the goalies for their last 20 games now. So I think if you're asking me, like for game one, I think it has to be Ullmark the way he's played, especially since the trade deadline. I think the numbers speak for themselves, but it does seem like the Bruins aren't really budging in terms of that switching off every other start. So we'll see if that changes once you get to the playoffs.
Is Maroon going to be able to make that much of an impact? I mean, I would have. I thought that he was going to be, more readily available before this, and it's. I guess maybe I was wrong in that assumption, but joining this late, as little time as he'll have in actual game situations, should we maybe, or should I temper my expectations in terms of him being any kind of a difference maker?
Well, yeah, you look at the circumstances of, what's involved there, right? A 35-year-old guy who's coming off of back surgery to then just get thrown into the gauntlet of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's a tough task for a guy like him. I think for what the Bruins are hoping for him, I think it's kind of the same strategy as guys like Weatherspoon and Peak, right? Where I think it's just playing a simplified game. If he's on the fourth line with Beecher and Bokus, which would be very entertaining because you've got two very fast skaters and Maroon's a little bit slower there. So maybe he's a guy that they think can go up to the third line if they go with a Frederick Geeky pairing grouping where maybe more puck possession, more detail oriented. But I think for how the Bruins are approaching it, it's just play simple hockey, play strong on the forecheck, force turnovers, maybe rely on some guys like a Frederick Geeky to generate more of the offense. But if he's able to, land a few hits, be a physical deterrent, like you look at, again, the Bruins, I think, have done a good job, especially against Florida these last 2 weeks, answering the bell. But having a guy like Maroon with his track record out there also can kind of go a long way as to maybe if a guy like Sam Bennett's picking a fight when, it's all but inevitable that Matthew Tkachuk's going to get involved. If the Bruins play Tampa in the first round, you have Tanner Jeannot, who delivered a pretty heavy uppercut to Frederick in that fight the last time they met. guy like Pat Maroon, who played in Tampa, he can make a difference there as well. So I don't think they're expecting him to be this spark plug that, adds some added offense to the bottom six, but he does have some of his traits that can come in handy once you get to the playoffs.
All right. Should be interesting as the NHL playoff format is not ideal, but here we are. Conor Ryan, read him in the Globe. He covers the Boston Bruins. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Conor.
All right, we appreciate it. There you go. So they will be probably playing Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that win over Florida pretty much put the division out of reach, I think. So now we got 3-4 games left.
Yeah, and 4 games left,
and now, I didn't want any part of Tampa. I would have much rather played Toronto, but here we are. Got to play Tampa. Got to play Vasilevsky. 7 games against one of the best goaltenders on the planet when he's right. So,
well, maybe not 7, John. That's a real downer attitude. Maybe it'll only be 4. Just get in, get out.
Mm-hmm. I just don't understand why they do the format the way they do it. It just, you would think that if you had the best record that you would.
Tampa's a wild card.
No, I know. That's right. Yeah, and the Rangers are going. Okay.
Now you're down with it.
The last P stands for property. I'm down with it.
How can I explain it? I'll take it frame by frame it.
Bust
Sting.
it.
Yeah.
Bust it. It's another way to call a cat a kitty. There's 4 little letters that are missing there.
Yeah.
Wink. You know who I liked in Naughty by Nature? The guy that wasn't
Tretch. Yeah. The hype man.
No, he was more than a hype man. He was there.
Okay.
Don't worry about him.
All right.
He was there. He was keeping an eye on things. Yeah. He's like the karate guy from Black Eyed Peas.
Oh.
He wrote a book, by the way.
That was Taboo, correct?
I don't know.
I think that
What
guy's
did you
name was
think I
Taboo.
liked him? I remember when I worked at an alternative radio station, we started playing Black Eyed Peas, and it's like, oh, this is what you find acceptable. This is these guys are all right.
All right.
We'll play these guys. If you're talking about hip-hop, these guys are okay. By the way, that song wasn't called Let's Get It Started Right Away. It was
what was it called? Oh,
Yeah,
really?
It was something else. Yeah.
There was no it in it. It was Let's Get Blankety Blank.
Mm-hmm.
Not good. All right, here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics beat Portland at TD Garden last night, 124-107. Big night for Jaylen Brown, 26 points. He went over 10,000 in his career in the process. Celtics have 4 games left in the regular season. They visit Milwaukee tomorrow night. Kentucky head basketball coach John Calipari has left the school. He's going to take over the program at the University of Arkansas. The men's national championship game is tonight, and it'll be UConn against Purdue. Women's national championship game was yesterday. South Carolina finished off an undefeated season. They beat Iowa 87-75. Patriots have re-signed safety Kyle Duggar to a 4-year, $58 million contract. And the Red Sox opened up their season with a 7-3 road trip. They beat the Angels in Anaheim yesterday, 12-2. The home openers against Baltimore at Fenway tomorrow. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Prestige Car Wash, home of the free vacuum. Join their unlimited wash plan and get free washes until the end of the month. Don't ride dirty. Check out prestigewash.com with 22 Greater Boston locations. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Finger roll is up and good. Score in the foul.
This is home of the Boston Celtics.
Steve the engineer. Or you, Nick, because this computer's not turning on. Here we go. How long before Nick gets here?
Oh, he's bouncing. He's got a little pep in his step.
Yeah, I'm not saying he doesn't hustle. He hustles his bustle, but there's a lot of bustle to hustle. Nick is...
I'd like to dress him up in an Old West bustle.
I like why... There's something really called a bustle?
Yeah, it's
Really?
and I only know it from the movie Tombstone. And when Doc Holliday and Big Nose Kate are making their getaway from the poker game, Val Kilmer says to her, "So that's why you're not wearing a bustle."
Well, someone's got to get Steve. Where are you going, Nick? Where are you going? Nick, well,
there he comes, coming down
and,
the hall.
and then, do you like how when I go, "Where are you going?" he stops to like act aggravated. Well, there's Steve
Right there.
So let's get
we're
Steve.
looking for you.
Yeah, we need you.
Okay.
All right, here comes Steve. All right.
We're going to get this problem solved right
Here's
now.
one of the more annoying things about Nick is that I'll go,
That
Nick,
doesn't work.
Steve,
Yeah,
the
this is
computer
not
right
working.
there. We need help with that.
All right, so very good. So when you ask Nick to do something, and then you're like, "All right, Nick, just go do it," then he'll sit there and go, like he'll just stand there, like because you like the time is of the essence. Like this is happening, like in 10 minutes. Like this is happening. Like it's got to get done. Like
No.
we're having some problems, and Nick will just be like. I don't like the way you're talking to me.
Oh, he's manhandling you.
Oh,
Now
you
he's
see that?
moving you out of the way to
push
get
you
to
right
that chair.
aside.
I noticed that Steve is a fan of the quarter zip. When did the quarter zip become the unofficial uniform of radio engineers as opposed to the fleece vest? At some point, there was a changeover. What year did that take place?
For me, about 7 years.
7 years. They moved from the fleece. Although
Dennis is still a fan of the vest. though.
Knudsen still wears the fleece
Knudsen
vest.
still wears the vest.
Yeah.
He copied me.
Okay.
All right.
Well, obviously not. He wears the vest. you see.
That's what.
Yeah,
Don't-
but there's never been someone who gets more just like you know how in the old sitcoms where the sassy like maid or something would put her like the
Yes.
back of her hands on her hips and just go.
Yeah.
There's no one sassier than Nick.
Mm-hmm.
He'll stop and just sass you, and he'll also move Hardy out of the way.
There's some major innovations going on over there. What's happening, Hardy? What's going on over there?
I don't know.
There, he's got his flashlight phone working right now. I think we need to get Nick like a mini flashlight that he keeps on his keychain.
I think that you would really like getting him a mini flashlight. That's something like.
Have I
that'd be
ever
right
told
up
you
your
about
alley.
my flashlight? Do
You
we
have
have
not.
10 minutes here? I can tell you about my O-Light. It is the Seeker 2 Pro, and this is a rechargeable flashlight. Works on a magnetic charger. I got it so that I could see what the dog was barking at out in the woods every night. And let me tell you something. For something about the size of a I'm trying to compare it to
A
something
bird's penis.
like a highlighter, but just a little bit thicker. Okay, this thing will light up the night. And you to throw a beam, I showed it to a friend of mine who's a cop. I'm like, you should carry this. You know what he said? Too powerful. He said, I couldn't even use that thing. It's too much. It's too much, he said.
You know what? The thing about Hardy and we were talking about this off the air that's very interesting is that we are going to get into WrestleMania. Jay Stu I guess it's a very exhausted Jay Stu. He's got his hands in the air like it was. I'm all WrestleMania'd out. Like he's like WrestleMania was this week, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, it wasn't even one night. It was 2 nights.
Yeah, and so we were talking about how the Wong Master General Andy Wong was with Sarge.
Yep.
At the Link in Philadelphia, where they boldly had WrestleMania outdoors in front of. They fit 400,000 people in the Link. Did you know that?
No.
That it took a wrestling event.
How about that?
That it's the largest event ever. And so that was going on. And so he's like, Andy Wong from the Loon, who's down with the Loon crew, the Loon crew's Joe Murray, Carabas, Sarge, Jay Stu.
Right.
You know the gang.
I do.
They like, and then Hardy's like, yeah, like I know Andy Wong. He's like, I've hung out with him. And I'm like, how'd you hang out with Andy Wong? And he's like, oh, like I had met him a couple times, and then we went to the AFC Championship game together. Like, how the hell do you go from meeting someone a couple times to going to the and so
You
I
skipped a few steps.
So
there.
I honestly, John, this was no, I didn't skip any
No,
steps.
him. I'm
no,
looking at him.
he did not skip any steps. This is Hardy. So I'm like, how are you making friends at 40 at 50 years? Now he's at 50. How are you making friends in your 50s? Like, how do you get to the point where you meet someone? He's like, well, I went to an event at the Loon and like talked to him, and I'm like, yeah, I could see that, and I could see exchanging numbers. But if someone then came to me and said, do you want to like be friends? Like, do you want to go to a game with me?
Right.
I'd be like, no. Everything in me, even if he was the greatest guy in the world, would be like then I got to go to Gillette by myself and like meet you, and I don't really know you, and here we are, and now we're sitting next to each other for the whole game, and I got to make conversation. Like, it just would seem like a lot to me, but not to you, Hardy.
No, and we had a lovely time. Now, Sarge was also there. And this is what I remember the most about that night. We met at the CBS scene before the game, and Sarge went over to where Dan Roach was broadcasting live. He had it set up there at one of the tables at CBS scene, and Sarge went over and said, Danny, need to borrow your phone charger there. Dan Roach is, he's working. He's got his laptop. He's doing live shots. He's doing all this stuff. He's like, what? What? He goes, yeah, I'm only at 98%. Need a full charge for the Sarge.
He didn't say that.
And Dan's like, you're at 98%, but you need to charge it up to 100. He's like, absolutely. Yes, please, sir. And thank you, ma'am. And he takes it and he charges his phone while we're eating before we go into the stadium.
Wait a minute.
And sure enough, Sarge used every single % of that battery before the game was over. You want to know why? He takes more pictures than my 17-year-old daughter. Everything is documented and photographed and posted to the point where I said, if you take one more freaking picture, not of me, because I told him no pictures of me, but with me in it.
Evidence for the judge when the ladies complain.
I'm throwing that phone down onto the field. Put it away.
At 4 o'clock, I was not with you, darling. I was I was at the game, Your Honor. I have. Where were you 30 seconds before that? Well, it just so happens the Sarge was right here.
So I think you're going to need to drop the charge on the Sarge.
The Sarge has an alibi.
He unironically said, I need a full charge for the Sarge.
I need a full charge for the Sarge.
Oh, my God.
Now we have 2 engineers.
Okay.
This is really becoming something.
Oh.
No. Not talking in. God damn it. If there's one more like clowny spit take, just everyone work. No more looking at me. I know. But
massive lunchbox.
And again, you still talking.
You could kill someone with that lunchbox.
Lunch for the entire building.
Goodness.
Well, he's a lunch pail guy. Dennis Knudsen here now.
Yeah, so we have.
But Nick is taking charge.
Steve and Dennis are here. Nick, where's Nick?
He's down
here. Okay. Hey, how are you, Nick? Didn't see you there. Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone working on this one computer that refuses to turn on. Is that about right?
Well, it's never had a problem before. That's the thing.
That's right.
This one hasn't been repaired and or replaced in the last 4 weeks.
No. But so there you go. So Hardy he has a big stable of quote unquote friends. Now, did you go out with Andy Wong since then?
No, but I've spoken with him on the phone a couple of times. He did a bit for us. I think it was one of the weeks you were gone. We did it years ago, Firework or Kowloon.
Right.
Yes. That was
so
good.
I had some interactions with him, and like on the socials sometimes.
So, but you'll talk to him on the phone, like the two of you will talk.
No, text. We'll text sometimes.
Like you'll be in the car and you'll be like, Andy,
no.
Wrestlemania, huh?
No, but every once in a while, shoot each other a text. Sure. And he's just such a nice guy. He really is a good dude.
But that's Hardy for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's friends with the police department. He's friends with Andy Wong. He's friends with everyone.
Pretty impressive.
Friends, Fred. Can't have enough of them.
He's playing. He's got all his friends that he uses for his golf show to get him stuff.
That's not true.
He's a man of the people.
If you're using someone, that's not a friend.
Man of the people, all walks of life.
And then I went to him. But think about it. I'm like your father. Guys don't make friends. Like dads don't make friends. when they're in their like 40s.
Oh God, my dad.
And then he was like, "Oh, my dad had so many friends. He was a salesman."
Yeah.
And
My dad used to bring strangers home, like for dinner, and they would come into the house. And my mother would be like, "Who is this?" "This is Andy Anderson." Well, this is a friend of Andy Anderson's from Anderson Honda. I just met him the other day. He was coming over for dinner, and you bring him into the house.
And the guy would want to come over to your house for dinner and eat with the family.
He was a very charming guy.
All right. I mean, because it's nice to make friends. It's just I don't think a lot of people in their 40s make friends.
My dad
especially with family. Yeah, my dad didn't know anyone.
And ironically, my daughter always makes fun of me because she says, "Daddy, you don't have any friends." I said, just because I don't go out for dinner, every other week like Mommy does with her friends, and they like have scheduled get-togethers.
Yeah.
I have people that I know and talk to and play golf with.
Women have to have scheduled get-togethers so they can then turn around and destroy all the people they had dinner with to their other friends. They need ammunition. They have to reload the gun at every point.
You need the information.
Yeah, because
otherwise, if you run out,
right.
it's time for a new outing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because that's why women have to get together so they can go and talk behind the other woman's back about all the things. My daughter makes fun of me for not having any friends either.
Yeah,
all the time.
But I think it's because we don't go out. Like, oh, you want to go out with your friend? Like, no. Like, go out with what are you talking about?
See, if I can go out, I go out, but I don't, there's only like 5 nights a month I can go out, like if I wanted to, because of the parenting schedule and everything else. Because like, I don't think like on a Wednesday night I'm going out at 8:30. Like dropping the kids off and then going like, here I go.
Well, this freaking schedule too. By the way, there's a real sticking point in my life this week about an event on Thursday night that I asked my wife straight up about this thing on Thursday night that she wants me to go to with her, and I said, "Is this a test?" And she said, "Yes." Like, and I just there's nothing about the place or the event or anything that I'm opposed to. It's the fact that it is far enough away and doesn't end until 9 o'clock. I'm like, that's going to ruin me the next day.
But think about it. You get to be married. Yeah. All right. We will be back one way or another. The stew man was up late.
Yep.
Lockhart tells me he was very frazzled. He was up late. There was 2 full nights of WrestleMania action and the Fan Fest and everything else. We will have his recap, because who are we to recap the biggest night of entertainment ever?
I couldn't do it.
I mean, I couldn't do it if you paid me. I just don't. I got lost. I mean, there's an Intercontinental Champion. There's then who's coming back? Is that
Unified
John Cena?
belts? Yeah.
I mean, it was really a battle of royale. I mean, there was all kinds of just craziness. Becky Lynch. I mean, wow. All right, so we'll have that for you in just a moment. And we'll also get to see if 3 engineers, Nick, can fix a computer.
Don't forget Lockhart.
Lockhart's trying to put the information in. We'll see if they can get something done. If they can't, the ridicule. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. the Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today. In the office, in your car, in your footy pajamas, this is how Boston sports fans start their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.
Update on the computer, it's not working. And then Hardy's like, well, what are they going to do? They just can reboot it and stuff. And I made the point, which I think is a solid point. This is a computer that doesn't use the internet, so it's not like there's a virus on it. Like, does your computer at home just break all the time?
No.
Or does you do calculate? So I would essentially it's a calculator. It's not even an Xbox, because an Xbox now uses the internet.
Yes, yeah.
But that's my Xbox doesn't break. My son plays his Xbox, 2 hours a day and it doesn't break.
But it is networked. I wouldn't be surprised if it has something to do with the network.
Well, I don't know. It's not their fault.
Network, Fred.
But I do think it's funny. He's like, well, good luck. And it's like, okay, well.
Thanks for stopping by.
I got to go try to be funny now.
Yeah.
No one expects you to be funny, Fred. You're
well,
fine.
there's an implication that's the point of the show. All right. Well, listen. Were you guys locked in on WrestleMania?
I was not.
I didn't know it was happening.
Okay, well. It's
what are we doing here?
To do a show with two bozos that don't even follow what's going on. Well, for your edification, or for your knowledge, it's not edification. For your knowledge, let me tell you this: you guys are so wrapped up in this eclipse, you can't even focus on anything else. It was 2 nights. It was at the Link in the Lincoln Financial Field, which is a football stadium. It was outdoors. It was beautiful. The electricity was something else. It was 2 nights, 5 million people watched it live in the building.
Yeah, which I didn't think it was possible, but
well, you got to think that they
can
put chairs on the field.
Okay.
So they had that going. Sarge and Andy Wong were out there. It was something. But what if millions and millions of people watched this, and one person here at the station is tasked with covering this event, but it's been 2 nights. It's 2 nights. Now your partner in crime is out at the Link.
Aha.
Yeah, Sarge is out there. He's glad-handed. He's getting interviews to bank for later shows. He's talking to Jake the Snake. He's talking to Harley Rains or whatever.
Roman Reigns.
Well, isn't Harley Rains a guy too?
I don't know.
Or is it a porn star? Harley Rains is a porn star.
That's a good game to play.
Wrestler
or porn star.
Yeah, but I guess you'd have to get audio of the porn wrestler or porn star tomorrow. But you're going to have to find audio of porn stars talking.
Yeah. Go get him, Hardy.
All right, so that's what we'll play tomorrow. Wrestler or porn star. That's the 8 o'clock game tomorrow. I'm not lying. Good. John, you just did. That's 3 things you've done lately that added to the show.
I'm on fire.
You really are. Anyway, so here's Jay Stewie. It's Twixt the Ropes podcast. Between the Ropes.
Is that what it's called?
It's called Twixt the Ropes.
Twixt apostrophe TWIXT.
But he probably taped this, right, Mike? He's got to have done this at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And plus he's tuckered out.
Yeah.
His fingers. He's been on Twitter
a lot of events, emotionally exhausting.
He's on Twitter. Because his responsibility is tracking this. So here is James Stewart, doing this. He's talking about the wrestling.
It's just after midnight. The WWE press conference has ended. WrestleMania 40. Let's start off with.
Oh, how tuckered out is Stu at this point?
Poor guy. You can hear it.
He's like, finally, the post-game pressers are over. Whew. We can finally get to it. They elected someone into the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, there was a lot going on. All right, here's the Stu Man.
Let's start off with Cody Rhodes. He finished his story. Cody Rhodes defeats Roman Reigns in a match that goes about 30 minutes. It was a great atmosphere, electricity. I wish that instead of Cody handing the belt to Mama, I wish he could have handed it to Dusty.
Yeah, and I think we all felt that way. Why'd you give it to
Sorry,
Mama?
Cody.
Why'd you give it to Mama? Why didn't you? Why didn't you give it to Cody? I mean, weren't you guys like, why are you giving it to Mama? I mean, she's got a whole family.
It seemed to be the right thing to do.
I mean, Tim Conway was there with her. I mean, you knew at least she had company.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that instead of Cody handing the belt to Mama, I wish he could have handed it to Dusty.
You know, they were all there, all of Mama's family. They were all there. Vicki Lawrence. She wouldn't kayfabe, though. She never took off the wig. She was playing an older lady, Mama. Tim Conway kept cutting up and breaking. These are all Mama's family references.
The Cody Rhodes win is huge because
now the Ukraine shall survive.
Had this happened 5 years ago, Brexit would not have been a thing.
Yeah. I kind of blame COVID on Cody. Huh. Do you like how he used to take these like inhales to like James Stew has been at it for a while.
The Cody Rhodes win is huge because of the journey that Cody Rhodes went on.
He had to walk into the wilderness all by himself without the benefit of food or water.
If he only had that hardy flashlight, he might have been
He
better
found
off.
God,
Yeah.
John.
Yep.
He had to go on a journey. He smoked DMT, and he found God. We all got back to our very genesis. Hey, guys, did you do what they said in before the Cody Rhodes match, smoke DMT? That's what they said to do.
Of the journey that Cody Rhodes went on.
Is he going to give us anything on the journey, do you think, or?
No, it's understood what the journey was.
All right, so all right, that's understood. All right.
Cody was not happy with his position as Stardust.
What?
Yeah. He was Stardust. Come on, guys, play it.
As Stardust.
What's your favorite Willie Nelson album, Jay Stu?
Stardust.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I like that one. It's all covers, but it's really good.
When you burn a cat to death, what does it become?
Stardust.
Really? Okay. When you go to the cremation center for your rituals, what do you keep chanting?
Stardust.
Oh, I see. What was the name of your last victim?
Stardust.
What do you tell people they can find in the hole they'll be trapped in for eternity?
Stardust.
Okay, very good. We continue with James.
Roman Spear of the Rock was a last-minute addition to the match as a way to have that as a planted seed.
Why are you? What is the first step to creating a master race?
Planted seed.
Okay, I understand. How do you get your people to kill? How do you get what do you call the idea when you to get your minions to kill?
Well, there's just two different things.
Roman Spear of the Rock.
That's one.
No, but you have to the germination of the idea to kill.
Oh, the germination.
Planted seed.
Okay. How did Manson get his people to kill?
Roman Spear.
Oh, no, it's not. It was.
Planted seed.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
very
you.
good. Go ahead.
For a Roman Rock match down the line. He also...
Fellas, woof.
He's down to his last breath.
We're all emotional right now. I mean, we just witnessed history. Go ahead.
Jay Stu, was Hulk Hogan there? No, idiot.
I'm going to put you on. Was Bruno Sammartino the best technician in the history of the game? I don't know. James, where were you the night of the 23rd? James, have you seen Whiskers? All right.
he did it differently. Like I know at different points he's talked about having 4-dimensional characters. Roman Reigns being the villain champion really created a level of good guy challengers that has helped set up so many more things.
What do you call...
to that, like, Roman...
What do you call the people that are trying to arrest you? What do you call them, if you be so kind? The people that are trying to stop you and arrest you and and thwart your scheme. Are they good guy challengers?
Oh, okay.
See, this is why I need the computer.
You do.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, very good. I understand. It's a technical thing. Go ahead, keep playing.
Really created a level of good guy challengers that has helped set up so many more things. And so to that, like, Roman should get his flowers, because there hasn't been a villain champion in WWE since probably like Ruthless Aggression era Triple H.
I would agree with that.
I have to go so far as saying this is the best getting flowers since the last funeral I was at. You know, when you get
It wasn't
flowers.
a human funeral. It was
Well, it was the last time that we did the seance at the cemetery.
Roman's spear of the Rock.
Allow me to pin this to your dress. I acquired it at the cemetery.
Planted seed.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go to prom? I picked this off a casket.
Uh,
All right, keep playing it.
No, it's it. That's done.
All right,
That's
very
it.
good.
We're all done.
He was all tuckered out.
Good guy challengers.
All right. I think
Well
this
done,
thing might have
Jason.
booted up.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's working.
Oh, stop that. Yeah, now it's, well, no, it's not working.
Aha.
All right, yeah, it's not working. They're going to have to repair this.
Well, thank you, Jay Stu.
All right.
Really?
Andrew Callahan will join us. He will be here talking to us about the Kyle Duggar signing. They are retaining players they have drafted. It is new attitude in Foxborough. We'll talk to him about that in just a moment. Hardy. Andrew Callahan is the Patriots reporter and a columnist for the Boston Herald. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Andrew Callahan, hello, sir.
Happy Eclipse Monday, fellas.
We have eclipse fever. I don't know about you, but I just saw footage of a previous eclipse. It gets dark when the eclipse happens. Like the sun goes away.
In 2017, I was in a total 100% area. I was in Loudoun County, Tennessee, and I was on a dock unobstructed by trees over a lake, and I experienced it. And since then, my life has gone down the drain.
Yeah.
So just be careful, because you're playing with spirits far beyond your control today.
Careful what you wish for.
It breaks computers, and you can't use VoxPro or import anything into it anymore.
It's the network. I told you it was the network.
Yeah, it broke our network here at the station. Andrew, are you doing anything for it? Wear glasses. Don't look at it directly.
No, I hadn't heard that before, so thank you. I am not doing anything as of now. There's a lake less than a mile away from my apartment, so I might go there just for like the visibility. But aside from that, I think it's just going to be a regular day. It's really game day here at a UConn Husky household, which I'm surprised you guys had me on, because John Wallach, as I understand it, did not enjoy his experience with my fellow UConn Huskies at the Sweet 16 Elite Eight at the Garden the other weekend.
You guys are annoying, all of you. The Sweet 16 Elite Eight, just Husky fans, very annoying at the Garden.
I just got to plead the fifth on that. I was not there, but I have many friends who I can imagine exactly how they were, and it sounds like it was worse.
Yeah.
All right, super fan. I mean, way to go to the game when it was in your backyard.
Yeah, Jesus.
All right. I mean, the Herald, I guess, isn't. You could have gotten a press pass, I guess, but maybe not. All right, Andrew Callahan. The Patriots signed Kyle Duggar. Kind of put in perspective where that contract lands in terms of other safeties in the NFL, and what this speaks of the Patriots' formula for building the team.
So Kyle Duggar now, according to Over the Cap, is the sixth highest paid safety in the league by total contract value, by average annual value at $14.5 million per year, and the fifth highest paid safety in total guarantees, which is just about $32 million, I believe. Might be 32.5. So he's paid like a player that right now is not aligned with where he's at. Like, I don't care who you ask, unless it might be an extension of his family. He's not a top 5, top 6 safety in the league. But this is how free agency works, because this contract is going to age better over the coming years, and that happens virtually with every contract signed in free agency. What I think this is, though, is the Patriots committing as much to Kyle Duggar as their own word. Like, we heard from Elliott Wolf at the Combine saying we want to extend our core players. And what the Patriots did when they applied the transition tag was really box out the rest of the market, because he was going to get $13.8 million guaranteed in a one-year deal, and that was it. And no one else, we saw a tweet from Dan Duggar from The Athletic, really made an offer to Kyle Duggar. And so they knew this. This was a gamble. It paid off. They cornered the market. And yet it seems like they made, at least for now, an overpay. To me, that was saying, look, we got the money, we got the cash. Off-season program starts Monday. Let's get him in. Let's do what we said we would and sign him to a long-term deal.
All right. Isn't that the best way to spend your money, though? Is retaining people that you believe can build culture, instead of just, overpaying for a 30-year-old receiver or something like that and bringing him in the building?
Sure. I mean, I would say it's best to overpay players who are going to win games. And if you are someone who's against this deal, and for the record, I would give this, the vicinity of like a C+, just because, again, I just don't think a safety who's not a strong coverage player deserves to be paid like a top 5, top 6 player at his position. But to your point, into the larger one of like, we can't say out of one side of our mouths, oh, the Patriots need to spend, and then they retain one of their 5, 6 best overall players in this, granted, pretty crappy roster, and be like, oh, well, that wasn't a good use of their money. Like, this is when you have the money, spend it. If you give an extra couple $1 million per year, I'm not going to crush them, considering where Kyle Duggar is right now on their roster and their depth chart and their locker room.
Okay, but I'm sorry, John, but do they have does this talk about the NFL in terms of like player, like what does this mean? Does this mean anything to the team? Like, when you show a willingness to reward guys that do well for you, does this, in your opinion, kind of change perspective and maybe is a motivating factor for players, or is that not a thing?
No, I think it definitely is. And we saw this on the report card, right? Like, the ownership for every single team was rated on willingness to spend from the NFLPA report card, released 2 months ago. And Robert Kraft was in the bottom 10 for that. And a lot of that was a reflection of not just player salaries, which there's a salary floor in the league, 90% of the salary cap in terms of cash spending every 3 years, but facilities, treatment, your resources in the building. And I think what this says is, look, everyone in that locker room understood, how hard Kyle Duggar worked. Like, he fit all of the cliches. First in, one of the last out, studies film, takes care of his family. Like, that's it. So if they were unwilling to pay him, that sends a bad message. The fact that they did definitely sends a good message. And we already saw guys who wanted to stay, Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings, all these guys who re-signed. But the message to me that's actually more important than that is to send one to the outside of, hey, if you're not from here, we're still willing to pay you too.
Isn't it a positive, though, that they have retained pretty much their entire starting defense from last year? I mean, it lost in a terrible season was that the defense is pretty good, and they have everyone back from last year.
Yeah, no question about it. And I think when you look even a little bit deeper, all of the players who played at least half of their defensive snaps last year, with the exception of Miles Bryant, are back. And when you look at Miles Bryant, first of all, obvious fan favorite, but they have a replacement in line for him who's more talented, and that's Marcus Jones, who got hurt in week 2 last year. We didn't see anything from him the rest of the year. So really, you're talking about bringing everybody back. And the last time they did that was 18 going into 19. Very different roster, but it was a Super Bowl team, and they had the number 1 defense in the league that next year in 2019. Now, it might have been a little bit of a paper tiger towards the end against good quarterbacks, but I think we're looking at possibly a top 5 defense here next season.
And if you're trying to build this team, it makes sense to do it the way Fred was talking about, with retaining players, which is, the way to do it. You get these guys early, you develop them. Hopefully you get good years out of them when you're not paying them a lot, but then you keep them on. But specifically for the Patriots, they almost have to do it defensively because there's so much that needs to be done on offense. If you want to be competitive while you're in this rebuilding phase, it makes sense to me to do as much as you can defensively, whether it's bringing back a pretty good defense from last year and hopefully adding to it. It's not the sexiest way of doing it, but if you want to have a competitive product at all, you have to do it on that side of the ball.
Right. Or if you just want to, keep your strengths intact, right? Like, we know defense is the only area where they can kind of set it and forget it with all these different players. And again, I understand people who I would agree with to a point of Kyle Duggar got a little overpaid. That's fine. But you're not in a position or in the business right now of letting some of your most talented players walk out the door for nothing. Because if he left, you are not going to get a comp pick based on their expected spending next year when they lead the league in salary cap space for 2025. They still lead it in 2024. This space is going to roll over into next year. And so the amount that they're going to spend on free agents is going to kind of cancel out losing Kyle Duggar. And it's forgive me, this actually applies to this year, but it's just, you're not going to get a pick that's worth losing him, I think, at this point in the prime of his career. It's a 4-year deal. It'll probably amount to more 2 or 3. And I think it's a fine deal.
Okay, now let's talk about the draft, which is thankfully coming up soon. What are you hearing about who would be available? What do you think? What are you hearing about the Commanders' pick?
I haven't heard anything new. I wrote a column last week just to remind everyone, like, hey, this is peak silly season, right? Like, April Fool's Day lasts the first 3 weeks of April, not one day on the NFL calendar, because of just how much bleep that is thrown against the wall to see if it sticks. And some of it's also, again, people think they hear the right thing and they don't. But I think it makes sense whether you look at the betting markets, you hear the insiders, Adam Schefter saying last week in his podcast, all signs point to Jaden Daniels going number 2 to Washington. There's kind of a loose connection here with Cliff Kingsbury, who was at USC where Jaden Daniels had been before. And, they didn't overlap, but the type of system that Cliff Kingsbury likes to run operates best with a highly mobile quarterback, which obviously Jaden Daniels is. So I think right now the most obvious pick, the most commonly reported pick would be Jaden Daniels. And if not, I think we all know it should be Drake May. So it's still one of those 2 guys at number 2.
Who do you like the most?
I like Drake May, and I have a story coming out in the Herald tomorrow. It's a full-on scouting report. I've watched every single throw. I've watched every single run of Drake May from the last year and 2. And Doug Kai, my colleague at the Herald, did the same for Jaden Daniels. Today, it's in the paper. It's online. You can find everything you want to know about him. And I just look and just say, I think the ceiling here is higher. I think he checks more prototypical boxes. The Patriots should be thrilled with either. But May's got something as far as extending plays and creating something out of nothing that I don't think Daniels does as far as throwing the ball. And I think that right now, when you look at the elite quarterbacks across the league, all of them do that. That separates the great from the elite.
You think so when you watch him, you think he could be a great quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's encouraging. So, I mean, what do you say to all the people that then go, well, trade down or take Marvin Harrison, which we hear a lot, which I don't like, but go ahead.
No, you don't expect to be in this position ever. In this position, specifically the top 5, top 10 of the draft, is the only reliable place on planet Earth where you can find franchise quarterbacks. It's not a guarantee. Okay. Anyone who thinks there's a perfect prospect out there or a perfect trade or any kind of guarantee in the draft is fooling themselves, right? These are low probability, but on the spectrum of probability hitting on quarterbacks, this is the highest end. You're not trading for them. It doesn't happen. You're not signing for them. They never get to free agency. This is where you take your swing. And for people who think that Jaden Daniels, who just won a Heisman Trophy last year, seemingly coming out of nowhere, and said all these records is just going to pop up again next year. It doesn't happen. He was an outlier, right? Like there's a reason that he had an unprecedented season with 2 top 15 receivers, the best offensive line in the SEC. Like it was a complete historical outlier. So next year's class is bad. This year's has been loaded with 3 elite quarterbacks. We've known this. We've heard it for months. Take the guy, sit him if you need to, build the roster around him. Jacoby Brissett is here to take the hits, whether literally in the pocket or while you lose to protect the quarterback. You're here, make it the last time you're here for another 10, 15 years, and take the kid.
All right, Andrew Callahan, and you're involved with a charity, I'm to understand?
Yes, thank you for an extra 15 seconds. Next Thursday night, April 18th, at Vitamin C Brewing, SEA in Weymouth, we have a Pats and Pints event. This is a Patriots panel. Me, myself, some ex-players. We have some other writers. There's a silent auction. You pay $20. You get to drink beer, talk Pats with us, and all of the money goes to Boston Children's Hospital. My colleague Doug Kide will be there. 50 Nick Stevens is going to be there. Come see ex-players. Come talk about the draft. Ask us questions. Bid on memorabilia. All the money to Boston Children's Hospital. Thursday, April 18th, 7 to 10 p.m. at Vitamin C, SEA Brewing in Weymouth. We're going to have a great time.
All right, Andrew Callahan, thank you as always.
Thanks,
Look
Andrew.
out for that Drake May article tomorrow in the Herald, and the one about Jaden Daniels is out now. Thank you so much for the time, sir.
You got it. Have a great week, guys.
All right, there you go.
I like the way he thinks. Take the kid. Don't overthink it. Just take the quarterback that's presented to you. You need a quarterback. There's one sitting there. Go get him. Perfect.
Right, and you happen to be in a draft where it's believed that there are 3 elite prospects.
Yeah, you got a few of them there, and 4 depending on how much you want to believe what we were told, especially last week, which I can't get on board with.
I still don't know where that came from. Like, I don't know where the J.J. McCarthy stuff came from. I think J.J. McCarthy.
Oh, and Penix. I mean, you've
Well,
got.
no,
I mean,
that's not happening.
I know, but you've got people out there believing there are going to be
6 quarterbacks.
Well,
at least 5.
I was going to say 4 or 5 quarterbacks long term in this league, and just law of averages says it's not. But there's enough evidence between Jaden Daniels and Drake May to say, okay, these guys are at least going to play a few years and do something.
You are so lucky that you are bad in a year where there are quarterbacks available at the top of the draft. Think about if you were bad. Kenny Pickett was the best quarterback coming out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's happened before. It'll happen again next year. Apparently, you're bad at just the right time.
Right.
You're lucky. Don't overlook this.
Yeah, you are. And, if you make a mistake, that's the way it goes. But, hopefully you can draft and develop and go from there. That would be the ideal thing, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And I like the way that the Patriots are handling their business. I really do. I know a safety is not that big a deal. And if you were lining up the positions on a football team in terms of importance, it would probably be at the very bottom.
But it's part of a larger issue. And Andrew Callahan detailed that perfectly. You retain your own guys. It sends a message to the rest of the league. We care about our own players. That was not the message for the last 20-plus years.
Plus, if you believe in you're rebuilding this team, you want guys that set the culture, especially with a young coach, and they obviously believe in Duggar and they like his attitude. So keep him around for a couple years, which amounts to like 2. So keep him around for another. No, it does. That's what Callahan said. It's like
no,
2 years.
you're right. You're right.
So
I'm laughing at the way contracts are in the NFL.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm laughing
well, it's
at.
not ideal for the players. But keep him around for a couple years, and let this defense continue to be very, very good.
Yeah,
because you do have a good defense. All right, here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics beat Portland at TD Garden last night, 124-107. Jaylen Brown, 26 points. That included number 10,000 of his career. 4 games left in the regular season. Celtics will visit Milwaukee tomorrow night. In college basketball, John Calipari left Kentucky overnight. He has reportedly agreed to a 5-year deal to take over at Arkansas. Connecticut plays Purdue tonight for the men's national championship. Yesterday, South Carolina won the women's title 87-75 over Iowa. Caitlin Clark, 30 points for the Hawkeyes in the loss. As we were just talking about, the Patriots have re-signed safety Kyle Duggar. It's a 4-year, $58 million deal. And the Red Sox beat the Angels in Anaheim again yesterday, 12-2. Sox go 7-3 on their season-opening 10-game West Coast road trip. They're back home to play Baltimore tomorrow afternoon. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Wilbur Theater. See comedian Anthony Jeselnik live at the Wilbur April 24th and the Chevalier Theater on April 25th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston Toll for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. This hour of our show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And if you're worried, if you were thinking about the computer that's broken, it's not recognizing the network.
Oh, nice.
So Deb might have, when Deb gets here, she'll work on that.
So we had 3 engineers in here, and none of them were the right ones. We needed a different engineer. 2. Sorry, 2 engineers and Nick.
Yeah, Nick's in here because he can get under the counter easiest. He can just walk under the counter, while most people would have to get on their bellies to get under the counter. Nick can just walk under it.
Well, he squats a little bit, but yeah.
No, because if he was to lay on his belly, then he couldn't get under it. So he has to walk under it. And that's how he maneuvers around there. He's got little hands, too. He can get into the little crevices in it.
Got it.
You know?
I wonder if Nick has ever been spelunking, because I feel that would be a source of anxiety for young Nicholas. Get into a cave, tight situations.
Well, but then the problem would be he'd be like Winnie the Pooh. He could get his head out, but then he would be stuck. I mean, that happens a lot with Nick. That's why, like, do you only know the one story about being covered in his own feces? There are the times where he's been stuck in various holes and then having to defecate and not having a toilet to go to. John was all over the women's college basketball. He couldn't get enough. He was watching it on Friday. He was watching it on Sunday. And I was looking at Instagram, and Kendra Middleton put something on Instagram.
Really?
Yes.
A rare post for Kendra on Instagram.
We have a Kendra Middleton signing. She put something on, and it's she says the shirt says it all, and it's Drew Holiday with a shirt that says everyone watches women's sports. Is the best way to market the game like it's a charity that needs to be that like what the shirt says it all? Like if everyone watches it, then why do you have to say it? I don't quite like when entertainment is like you're doing the world a disservice by not watching women college basketball. Like it's just it's I liked watching the LSU Iowa game. I thought Caitlin Clark was impressive and it was nice. And now it's infuriating me. Now it's gotten to the point where it's just insisting upon itself. And people are all going around going like, see, like it's going to be huge. Like, see. And then by you saying that, or like that a shirt exists that says everyone watches women's sports. Now I'm bothered by the whole thing. Now it bothers me. Like it was a nice thing that was interesting and now it's ruined.
Right. And it's not enough just to admit that we all watch things that are either good or interesting until they're not. And my gut tells me that now that Caitlin Clark is no longer going to be playing college basketball and I don't know any of the players, I won't be watching because A, it won't be as good. She was really good to watch. And more importantly, it won't be as compelling. So it's not a knock on women's sports or women in general. It just is. We all gravitate toward things that we want to watch for one of those two reasons, and those reasons are now gone. So why are we going to keep watching college basketball next year for women's college basketball?
How does society improve, honestly? Like, how is it like a charity? Like, if we all were kind to one another, society would be better. If we had advances in medicine to keep our loved ones around longer, that would be a benefit to society. If we could stop war, that would be a benefit to society. How is the populace watching women's sports a benefit to society? Like we're treating.
How does that make the world better?
Yeah. Why does that make the world a better place? Well, then people like my daughter plays basketball, and there's no association between that and the amount of people that watch the national championship women's game. She plays it regardless of that. I don't understand. Why are we all rallying around this like it's a charity or that it's something that inherently improves the existence of mankind by us doing it? Like, its existence is great. The idea that that's an opportunity for people and that you can get a scholarship or upwards of $2 million in NIL money from playing women's college basketball is fantastic. But if that NIL money gets higher, how does that benefit anyone but the people getting the NIL money? Like, why is society better if the sophomore at USC women's college basketball player gets more NIL money? Like, I don't understand how that makes life better for any of us. Like, it makes life better for one person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you said women were paid 70% less than men to do the same job, right? Then you would go, well, as a society, if women get equal pay, that benefits all women. People watching women college basketball benefits no one but the people playing in the game. So enough with the like rallying around like this is like something we all should be doing. Or if you didn't watch it, because the minute you start telling people if you don't watch it, like you're a bad person, it's ludicrous. It's dumb. Like if you didn't see Ghostbusters, the Arctic one, the new one with the frozen people, like come on. Like, why didn't you watch Ghostbusters?
But Fred, there's
like the women's Ghostbusters was just as funny as the regular Ghostbusters. Like, no, stop.
Unless you were, and if you were by yourself yesterday on a Sunday afternoon, then okay, you were watching something else. You're watching the golf tournament, which actually had a very good ending.
I did
but
not see that.
You almost had to go out of your way to not take part in the watching of that game on Friday night and again the game yesterday. It was a collective experience. I'm not saying that you had to, but you almost had to go out of your way not to if you're around other people because many people were interested in it. What I find to be annoying is now we're all going to be interested in it going forward. Oh no.
You're interested in the specific person, not the sport itself.
Like it's precious. Like it's this precious thing. Like it's stop. It's entertainment. It's something. It's a way to distract ourselves for 2 hours. It's not for the good of mankind. Stop it. Everyone watches women's sports as a shirt. Like all right, and then like see, like Drew Holiday gets it. Why? Why? How does that benefit society? Stop acting like you're doing something for society by watching television. You're not. Go feed the homeless. Go plant a tree. You sitting at home watching television is benefiting no one. Stop. You're not like learning about anything. Like it's just ridiculous. And I know, Fred, you're negative about it, but there are things like just you. I know.
Really?
I know, Jay Stu, it's bad. But just when people insist upon stuff, and then act like they're heroes, doesn't that just give you douche chills? Like, doesn't it? That bothers me more than anything else, more than this computer.
We got a thumbs up.
Oh wow!
Hey, there it is. It's ready. It's done. It's finished.
All right. Someone import the Jay Stu thing so I can make it. Now I can have fun with it.
But you're right on one of those other things that you mentioned, and I always had that feeling of this feels more than a little patronizing to be like, see, we're all going to watch it now. Now that we're all watching, we're going to all watch it together, and like you're doing them a favor by paying attention to the game now. It's like, if you really want to do them a favor, show genuine interest and stay interested in it on your own, but not because you feel like they deserve some attention too. Like, to me, that is disrespectful.
And if you want to know if I'm right or not, Adam12 just texted me on my personal phone. That's right, Fred's Soup Kitchen needs volunteers. How is Adam going to eat? Get to that soup kitchen. I mean, he's working in music radio. He needs to be fed.
Not next Tuesday at 9 a.m. He's not. He's going to be here on the Sports Hub, baby.
Yeah, when I'm out, they bring in Adam. Adam won't come on the show with me. Did you hear Adam won't come on the show with Fred? That's it. I'm joking. But there you go. Congratulations to women's basketball. If you're playing in it or you're watching it or you're associated with it, it was a great run. And it was very exciting, and they framed LSU as villains and Iowa as the good guys, and that was fun.
All the players that you cared about have turned pro and will not be playing college basketball this year.
How about the player that you cared about is now, and you're not going to watch her play pro, but I will tell you this, is that she'll be in the three-point contest. If they have a brain, the NBA will put her in the three-point contest, and I'm not convinced she can't win the three-point contest. So let her win let her get into it. I'm not convinced in that setting without a defense that Caitlin Clark's not the best 3-point shooter in the country. I don't know how that benefits society, but nonetheless, it's cool. It's neat. I suppose maybe it would inspire a girl to play basketball, but I don't really know. Like, if my daughter didn't play basketball, I don't think her life would suffer as a result. So I'm kind of up in the air with all this. There's so many things we could be doing, to myself included, that I don't do to improve life. Sitting down and watching women's college basketball is not one of them.
I would be interested, just from a technical standpoint, though, to find out why she's so good at the 3-point shooting, but the mid-range shots tend to either come up a little short or go a little long.
That's people in general. Now, the way the basketball is taught, you see it in the pros, and now you're seeing it more at the college level.
Just
it's
because
either a 3 or a shot in the lane or a dunk. There are no mid-range jumpers anymore.
But is it just because, like, technically you get used to, like, a certain level of force, and it's close to,
I would imagine,
like 80%. I know that 80% move that I need from, and that is, from within 3-point of the line, but it gets a little hinkier when you're inside. You're 12 feet out. You're 16 feet out. Yeah.
No Rip Hamiltons. See, I did that just for you. There are no Rip Hamiltons anymore. No face masks to be worn while you take shots.
Rip said, I'm ripping it up with this face mask on. I ain't taking it off for nobody.
This teammate from that team, Chauncey, going in the Hall of Fame. You saw that.
I did see that.
Mr. Big Shot.
Yeah. Another great Rick Pitino Celtics draft pick that he traded in his rookie year.
But I wonder if Atlanta should get another NHL franchise, and they just should have people walking around with, like, everyone watches the NHL. Yeah. And then maybe that will inspire people. And then society.
Sure.
And then they get that big market. It's a top 10 market that doesn't have a hockey team. They get a market. They get interested in it. It improves the game. And then the owners get richer.
And that's the thing, whether it's, something that, insists upon itself, which is going to be the phrase for 2024 for this show, and I love it, or something that's forced upon you. The first thing that you do when something's forced upon you is you immediately push back. That's human nature, too. You have to watch this. Why? What? That? No, I don't. No, I don't. And now I feel, especially next year, if they do try and expand the coverage and it gets forced on me, I'm like,
it just
not
can be
doing it.
Annoying and make me consume the product. And I'll tell you this: if I must do this exercise, I don't recall anyone going like, "You gotta watch Serena Williams." Like, you gotta like it's good for everyone.
No,
if you watch Serena Williams. You just did.
You did, because it was.
Yeah, because wow, this
amazing.
This lady's like unbelievable. Like, so, like no one went like, do your part. Like, go and sit down and watch Wimbledon, will ya? Like, if we have to go through the exercise of other women athletes, or like, the Summer Olympics, like, will you watch the gymnasts, for Christ's sake? Like, what's wrong with you? I mean, you have Hardy writing notes for them to sign. Just one. Little lady named Mary Lou. All right. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
The Celtics made it 5 straight wins and 25 in their last 29 games last night. Care of a 124-107 victory over Portland at TD Garden. Jason Tatum sat out. Jaylen Brown scored 26 points. He went over 10,000 in his career in the process. Celtics have 4 games left in the regular season. They visit Milwaukee tomorrow night. In college basketball news, a shocker overnight. Kentucky head coach John Calipari has left the school to take over at the University of Arkansas. He has agreed to a 5-year contract. The national championship game is tonight in Glendale, Arizona. Defending champ UConn tries to go back-to-back when they play Purdue. In Cleveland yesterday, South Carolina beat Iowa 87-75 to win the women's championship and finish their season undefeated. Caitlin Clark, 30 points in the loss. Patriots have re-signed safety Kyle Duggar to a 4-year, $58 million contract with $32 million guaranteed. And the Red Sox blew out the Angels in Anaheim yesterday 12-2. Tanner Houck threw 6 more shutout innings for Alex Cora. And their team is back home after beginning their season with a 7-3 record.
He threw strikes. He moved the ball around. He made pitches. And he's in a good spot right now. We needed him to go deeper than 5. And he did that. And the offense... They hit poolside homers, and it was a good day overall. It was a great road trip.
The home opener is tomorrow afternoon against Baltimore. Sports Hub headlines are delivered by Service Credit Union. They've teamed with Charlie McAvoy to defend New England's heroes. They're raising $200,000 to cover cancer screens for Mass and New Hampshire firefighters and heart screens for Mass and New Hampshire police officers. Get details at servicecu.org/73. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
You want to talk sports? We want to talk sports.
Squeeze the chicken and open the mouth.
It's like we were meant for each other.
This is why you need us.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up.
We're back. Toucher and Hardy.
Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And I was thinking, I guess I got an email that Drew Holiday's wife is a professional soccer player.
Lauren, yeah.
You knew that and you didn't add that to the conversation?
You veered away from that particular point where it didn't really matter based on what you were talking about. So, yes, Lauren Holiday, a successful represented her country as a U.S. women's soccer player.
Is that a slice of life note that you get when you call the games?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
they give you a little background if it's a blowout so you can start talking about, like, their lives?
Yes. It's something.
So,
that,
or if Drew gets called for like a kicked ball at one point, it's like, well, maybe he picked that up
wife
from
does
home.
that better than he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there someone, like, waving, like, dude, the line about the wife? No. So, like, that's why he was wearing the shirt that says everyone watches women's sports. And I was talking about how, like, there's this self-satisfaction. Like, if someone who drives, like, an electric car. Like, there's this self-satisfaction of, like, at least the electric car, I guess, does something for the environment. Like, what'd you do this weekend? Like,
right.
Did you watch women's college basketball? Huh? And what if, like, judges now? Like, yes, you are guilty of shoplifting. Your penalty will be to improve society. We need to get you improving society. You are to watch 5 women's college basketball games next year. That will be part of your probation.
I'll have to ask my
We'll
wife.
be watching you.
You know what?
Yeah, we'll have a monitor on your ankle, and it will pick up if you are indeed helping society by watching women's college basketball.
So beware.
This is the thought experiment. I'm going to ask my wife, who watched, 2 college basketball games all season long, Friday night and Sunday. She also, on Saturday, spent 2 hours in the cold drizzle picking up trash with my son at a public area in town as part of like a community service thing. I want to ask her what she feels better about, in terms of doing this weekend. Mm-hmm. Because obviously the community service she performed on Saturday was of greater benefit to all than watching the 2 college basketball games.
Debatable.
But I wonder.
According to Kendra Middleton, who put the shirt says it all. Ugh. That's why I couldn't cruise at that public park.
Yeah,
there was all those people around picking up stuff
with the bags and the broomsticks with the nail on the end of it.
I was trying to cruise.
Right. Blow your train whistle.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, yeah, skedaddle, guys. I'm cruising. I'm cruising for a mate. Oh, no, that's what they were in Canton. picking up trash. That's my cruising park. That's where me and George Michael used to meet up. All right. By the way, Adam 12 just picks up trash on his own. He goes to the woods and picks up trash on his own. That's not a lie. Like, he's like such a good person that he'll just go to he'll like get his kids, and they'll do it too because they like love him. They'll go to the park and they'll just pick up trash, like the three of them as a collective. That's pretty nice.
Making society better, right there.
All right, your Boston Red Sox.
But if he's out there on his own, it's the.
Yeah, I mean, there's cruising, and then there's cruising. Like, then there's, like, Rob Halford on the road cruising. You get to a Flying J.
Yeah.
You put just your toe underneath the stall door.
That's all you need.
And,
Everybody knows.
Just give me the...
One toe, everybody knows the rules.
It's just as cool. All right, so your Red Sox are very exciting, and everyone's excited. Their home opener is tomorrow. Hardy will be there. And but there is this talk, the NHL, the Major League Baseball Players Association has come out, and they're blaming the pitch clock for pitching injuries. It's nonsense. They're saying there's not enough recovery time. I don't believe the science of that. But Tyler Glasnow came out and said the thing that is hurting pitchers is that you're not allowed to put the sticky stuff on the balls anymore. If you don't know, the league has outlawed like the doctoring of balls in that you sweat in like certain kinds of sunscreen. You could make the ball stickier and it would help your grip. And Glasnow said, I get a ball now and I got to grip it 10 times tighter. And that is what's affecting my arm. My arm feels different the days after I pitch. That I don't doubt. But I will tell you this. It's your own fault. All your own faults that this is happening to pitchers. So to my understanding, the the motion of throwing to a human being is not inherently bad for your arm. It's not an unnatural motion. What affects your elbow is the velocity and torque that you're putting on your arm. What do they now clock, John, that they've never clocked before? They're obsessed with velocity. Spin rates. So, I mean, if you're going and you're training to be a pitcher, and the idea is, I mean, if you read about prospects, they'll talk about specifically the spin rate on their breaking pitches. Like, it's something that they track. Like, it's something that could get you drafted. Literally,
the higher the spin rate, the better the break, the tougher the pitch is to hit.
In like the difference, like a 40 time, like the difference between your spin rate could be the difference between getting drafted and not getting drafted. Like, even regardless of performance, I know that performance has a lot to do with it, but it's something they really pay attention to. So this obsession with, getting spin rate is in this obsession with velocity, and I'm not even positive. I bet you it starts getting back a little bit. I think this obsession with velocity is a little short-sighted. I mean, these guys can catch up to anything.
It's more the movement on the pitches. If you throw 100 miles an hour straight, you're going to get crushed. You need two-seam fastball, whatever the case may be. You need a riding pitch, whatever.
And also location of your pitches is far more important, in my opinion.
But that's the thing, the obsession with spin rates. Oh, he's got great breaking stuff. He can't control it now, but we get him into our organization, we can get a handle on that.
So from the age of like 14 on, there's this obsession with velocity and spin rate, and that is what is going to pop your elbow, because that is what causes elbow injuries, which is Tommy John surgery, and which is what some guys are having 3-4 times in their careers. And what they do is they take a ligament either from a cadaver or from your own body and put it in. So they will take something out of a dead guy and put it in your body, which is weird. And then it takes a year to rehab, and it's happening to a ton of kids too. But I believe a lot more in that the sticky stuff could have a factor in it than I do that the pitch clock, because I can't imagine there's science that says getting 10 more seconds between pitches is going to stop your elbow ligament from popping off.
You mean telling me Tony Clark's an idiot and has no idea what he's talking about?
I think Tony Clark is, and John, I think you would agree, is grasping at straws to do something to help his players, because he's a horrible, horrible representative of that.
Said it earlier. I mean, the players are probably bitching and moaning to him. With all these injuries, do something. And he quickly got into a huddle with his confidants and said, "You know what? We got to think of something." And he put out that statement, which is utterly ridiculous.
But are the players really thinking that the pitch clock is what is forcing them to get injured?
Yes, I do. I think some of them do.
Clark has said, despite unanimous player opposition and significant concerns regarding the health and safety, the commissioner's office reduced the length of the pitch clock last December. Just one season removed from imposing the most significant rule change in decades. Since then, our concerns about the health impacts of reduced recovery time, which is nonsense, have only intensified. The league's unwillingness thus far to acknowledge or study, like do a study on it. So if I'm the league, I'll study it 1,000 times. It's never going to come out that getting 10 seconds more between pitches is going to save your elbow ligament. Or study the effects on these profound changes to the unprecedented threat to our game and its most valuable asset, the players. I mean, rest between starts. They don't know, by the way. Like, the thing, I know a little bit about this. Like, there's no consensus scientifically, obviously, on this amount of rest is proper or this amount of pitches is about where we should be. You know how, like, 100 pitches is kind of people's limit? That's completely arbitrary.
Right. It's a standard number that sounds good. That's the only reason why it's at 100.
It's like the millionaire's tax. It just sounds good.
If you take a look at the Japanese throwing program, which was big when Daisuke showed up, he would go out there, and when he was a high school kid, throw 170, 180 pitches a game. He would throw every day between starts.
Yeah, there's a name for it. You're absolutely right. And Yu Darvish was the first Japanese pitcher, I guess, to like fight back against that.
Yeah,
but that was the way. And still, like, I mean, if you look at in Japan, the like high school championships, I don't know how to put it.
But it's a huge deal.
It's
over
like
there.
the biggest deal in Japan.
Deal
it's like
there.
the biggest sporting event in Japan, and they'll have these kids pitch on consecutive days, like start consecutive days.
Yes.
So. There is no, at least 3 years ago, there was no science that says this amount of pitches can save you from injury, or this amount of rest can save you from injury, or this amount of pitches in this and that, or this combination of pitches can save your arm. What they do know is that you can throw 1,000,000 times lightly, and it is not going to snap your elbow, most likely, right? Like, well, my elbow snapped. I'm sorry. Well, it can happen. You can also roll your ankle walking down the street. But it's the torque you put on your arm and the velocity that they throw. When your arm, you're carrying all your body weight and moving forward, and all that pressure is on your elbow ligament. That's what's causing it. So I would imagine. And I guess off-speed pitches, it doesn't matter as much. But even like trying to spin a curveball that much is putting a tremendous amount of pressure on your elbow. So I don't, in 1,000,000 years, can't imagine, unless science has been totally wrong up until this point, that there's a scientific evidence that a pitch clock, think about it, that the tendon in your elbow, given 5 to 10 more seconds to rest, is going to become more elastic or not break?
And MLB's statement that countered what Tony Clark had said, it said, no, there is a study. Johns Hopkins did a study that said there's no evidence that the pitch clock led to more injuries. It didn't. It has been studied.
Your obsession with velocity and spin rate is what's causing the injuries, and that's a fact. I mean, that's just a fact. That you're more likely to hurt your arm the harder you throw, because you're putting more pressure on the elbow ligament, and that you're more likely to hurt your arm if, doctoring a spin rate. And I believe a pitcher when he says, like, my arm hurt the day after a start more, or it feels different after a start, because they would know. So maybe not having the sticky stuff on the ball, if it can save pitchers' arms, I mean, how much is that, like, been a great benefit to the game? I mean, you want games to go faster anyway. If it helps the pitchers and it helps the pitchers stay healthy, nothing's going to make the game go faster than having good pitching. So let them have the sticky stuff back on the balls. Don't let them take an emery board out there, and don't let them put like crazy glue on their hands. But if they wipe their head and it happens to have suntan lotion on it, and don't make them take their pants off when they come off the field anymore.
That I don't mind.
Well.
Yeah, but that's because you're not cruising, and you can get it all out of your system. like my family can tell when I haven't been cruising in a while.
Is he getting cranky?
Wow.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, Dad." They're like, "Just
go to the park.
Take some time
Who's
for
ready?
yourself."
Who's ready for a cruise? Yeah.
No, they don't come obviously with me. They stay home. I'm cruising. But the thing is that they'll go just self-help day. Take a mental health day, and just go to the park and cruise.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I need is on a beautiful cruise day to have a bunch of do-gooders picking up trash.
Hello, my friend Zack Attack.
Yeah, Zack Attack, Daddy Mouse. All right, that is my theory on the pitch clock. Tony Clark is an imbecile, and he figures, well, I can't get in trouble for this one.
I'm sure this complaint's going to go a long way.
Yeah. All right, we will return in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy. It is a wonderful email bit, and John is all, he just got done relieving himself in one of the bathrooms because he was walking from a great distance down the hall.
Yep.
He went to one of the ones where he's less likely to be sighted. What do you got?
There's a guy who's not happy with any of us. This guy sent you an email last week.
Oh, this guy.
The guy's sending another one. For people whose livelihoods depend on ratings, your willful disregard of the facts that women's sports events and ratings continue to increase is just too effing dumb to listen to. No one is making you watch it, and no one is requiring you to piss and moan about it either. But if you don't think you sound like the old a-holes from WEEI, you're wrong. Your don't insist I watch these broad sentiment is straight up Dennis and Callahan vibes.
That right there is an email that makes me not want to watch anything. Like, congratulations. Like, you're not doing anything altruistic. Like, you're not, it takes no effort from you. You're sitting on your couch watching something. Stop acting like you just ran a marathon. Stop acting like you just cured cancer. Stop acting that you even picked up trash in a park. Stop acting like you worked at a soup kitchen. You watch something. And by the way, the more you talk like this and the more you treat it like this, the more you're gonna alienate people. You're alienating people. And to turn into the whole like everyone is like the whole thing of talking about women's sports as if like it's some precious charitable thing to be doing is my whole point. And you spin it into this whole other thing. That don't insist I watch those broads. That's nothing. It's saying you're insisting upon it. You're acting like you're doing something right and I'm doing something wrong. It's entertainment. That's nonsense. That's like someone going like, I can't believe you went to go see an Avengers movie. That's popcorn studio nonsense. You should be at the independent theater watching subtitled films. Like you're destroying art by going to these popcorn bubblegum schlock. Ugh.
I have one.
Like if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And it's not in any way dismissing the game at all. In fact, it has nothing to do with the game. It has what I'm saying has literally nothing to do with what's happening on the court. It has everything to do with you. That email. That's what I'm talking about. You are the problem. And that's exactly my point. You're the problem. Not the game. You. Go ahead.
Okay. There's no problem with what's happening this week. This is from Ben. Happy Masters Week, Hardy. Oh, it is indeed. This week brings many of us joy, but it also rekindles a significant debate we all have each year. What are the staples to order from the Masters snack menu? Is it the pimento cheese sandwich? Is it the egg salad? Or should we just all hide behind a dumpster and eat those? I'd be curious to hear your Mount Rushmore of Masters food. I'm not going to do a Mount Rushmore, but I will tell you that the Masters snack menu is a sight to behold, and the prices, they can't be beat. There's an entire thread going on another site online. It's like for $20, what would you get at the Masters? And what people have actually done with $20. Here's a guy who went 2 years ago. He got a chicken biscuit and coffee for breakfast for $3. Pecan caramel popcorn for a snack with the domestic beer, $5.
It's like a billionaire getting a tax break. If you make your way to the Masters, you're a rich man. I'm not concerned about how much you paid in vending.
Well, I am. Pimento cheese sandwich and a beer for lunch, $5.50. A mid-afternoon beer refresh, $4.
You have to pretend that you like pimento cheese?
And peach ice cream sandwich, $2, $19.50 total. All that food for under $20. And I got to tell you, the caramel corn is delightful. The cookies are delicious. And Fred, here's something else about the Masters that you should know. No name brands anywhere. You walk into one of those concession stands and it just says soda, domestic beer, imported beer, tea, sweet tea. No names. We all know it's Coke. I mean, we're close to Atlanta, so it's almost certainly going to be Coca-Cola. But close enough. You're still in Coca-Cola country. Okay.
Take a guess.
but no brand names anywhere. I would like, you know what? I'd like a soda and an egg salad sandwich, please. How much is that going to be? $3.
Let's talk about cheese.
Yeah. I remember we went to the U.S. Open. You went back to the country club without any of us. But when the three of us were there, all three of us, you remember the prices. You remember hamburgers are like $15.
Oh, at the U.S. Open?
At the U.S. Open at the country club.
Gouge you.
So this is an oasis in a desert of,
Not the Masters. No, they don't need.
They know their audience is that. I mean, golf fans are usually. You can't get anybody that works for a hedge fund or anything.
Yeah,
out
they're
there.
destitute. You got to take care of those people.
Yeah. I wish they'd all dress the same. Oh, that you do. This is cut it out with the UGG. Your knowledge has grown significantly over the time since your former left. Over the last 3 months, I've grown intellectually. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
But that UGG returns you to the old Fred.
Oh.
I have my demons too, so I know where you're at, bud. But cut that stuff out.
Is that what he's talking about?
Well, no, when I go, ugh.
Oh.
That's me and my demons, apparently. That's my demons get me, Ari.
That's just digging deep to find that you saying ugh means that you're battling back your demons.
People, they're very invested in your life when you talk to them for 20 hours a week. Don't get it twisted, Hardy. You're riding that rail now. People are going to start pontificating on what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
And you can give them everything that's going on, but that's not enough. They need to infer more.
Hi, Hardy.
You're an open book.
Yeah, that's fine. Hi, Hardy. Great to have you on the program. Blah, blah, blah. When you bring up a vague location in the Metro West area, the Eagle will always respond with, I know exactly where that is. Not sure why he brags about this. Perhaps because he's emphasizing he's a local, but it's more likely he has a bird's eye view of all of Massachusetts when he flies over the region to and from work every day and wants to remind you of this. I listen from the West Coast. Love the show. That's John. I'm gonna keep an ear out for that.
Okay.
I know exactly where that is.
Usually when Fred brings up Natick and all the restaurants and stuff, I do know exactly where those are. I live near there.
John, why do seagulls go to parking lots even when they're not near large bodies of water?
Usually a lot of trash.
Is that it?
Usually a lot of trash and sticks hanging out.
What do you think about seagulls? Are they like
they're gross?
They are less than?
Yeah, they're gross.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Disease-ridden rats, flying rats.
All right, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's like the N-word for birds. Good morning, TNH and Ken Griffey Rules, with Hardy's story of Sarge needing a full charge for the Sarge. If you don't know, Hardy went out socially with Sarge, and Sarge worked his way into a television broadcast so he could charge his phone that was at 98. He said he needed full charge for the Sarge, and he took a lot of pictures after he got those charges. He says, I am reminded of the infamous Palm 70. Hasten, O God, to save me. O Lord, come quickly and help me. May those who seek my life be put to shame and confusion. May all who desire my ruin be turned back in disgrace. May those who say to me, aha, aha, turn back because of their shame.
Aha!
For Sarge needed some quick help from a greater power to secure a fully charged mobile device, and for those who sought not to assist, may they withstand the power that comes from Sarge having a fully charged mobile device for copious amounts of photography, and perhaps the last word over the public address announcer system.
You can't see me.
No.
No. Aha!
Appreciate you guys and keep up the great work. That's from Griff.
But it's still all good.
Yeah.
Sarge.
Hardy has this willingness to go out with people that is really I admire it. Like, he's been out socially with Sarge.
Sarge was part of the whole group that day.
By definition, you went out socially with Sarge.
Yeah. To a football game. That's not socially. We didn't go out drinking.
I've done that. A big group outing at the Kowloon.
Well, that's how Hardy got into this whole thing. Is that how he got invited to the AFC Championship game? Is he was at the Loon.
No, I haven't been invited back. I've been invited back to be a part of that.
When you went to the Loon, was Marshall Hook there?
I'm sure.
Was it off the hook?
I'm sure he was. Come on, please.
So what drew you to the Loon? Because that's no quick ride for you.
That was one night. It was James Stewart invited me, and I said sure. I'll go see what this is all about. And it was like, like a Sports Hub gathering. It was all like Sports Hub people. Lanny was there, and I liked Lanny, so I was hanging out with him, and I don't know. There were probably like 15, almost 20 people there.
Mm-hmm.
It was just one of those nights.
How long did it take you to get to the Loon that night?
It was back when I was living in Rosslyn, so it was probably only half an hour.
Okay, because Canton to the Loon that's across the state.
That's stuff they do to punish people. You have to drive from Canton to the Loon during rush hour traffic.
Yeah, that's
I don't think I would do that now.
You almost need a helicopter. I mean, because to get to Newton to the Loon is a whole experience.
Yeah,
but I've been there now. I called Joe Murray. I said, I'm going to the Loon. Can you do something? He goes, I got you. He goes, you won't be waiting for long.
Nice.
He goes, I called. He goes, Andy's not there, but
don't worry.
There are Wongs aplenty.
Were you here the day? I think it was one of the days you were out when Joe Murray clocked the distance from the Loon to his house by the song.
By the song Stairway to Heaven. But if you start Stairway to Heaven when he was backing out, this is before he moved north. But when he was backing out of his driveway till when he got to the Loon parking lot, it was the length of Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
That's something he shared on numerous occasions.
Okay, so that wasn't new for us.
Yeah, when Joe's on the weekends now, Joe gets back to swinging Joe. I mean, it doesn't take him long because people will call in and they'll be like, "Have you?" I was listening on Sunday or Saturday, and someone just called in. They're like, "Have you had this sandwich?" And he's like, "Yeah." I've had that sandwich. And they're like, did you like it? And he's like, yeah, I did. And I'm just like, there you go. Because Joey don't do that so much at night.
Nope.
Joe's more with the takes at night. He's more keeping it to sports. He even talks in a different voice, which we've discussed before. When Joe's just swinging on the weekend, that's when Joe's Joe. Like, he'll take a phone call from anyone. And I think his lines are just completely full. And they're like guys who know him.
Mm-hmm.
I told you when I was in detox, there was a guy, and he's like, I was in Hyde Park, and I'm like, do you know Joe Murray? And he's like, Joey! Yeah, I know Joe. He's a big shot radio guy now. And I'm like, yeah. Joey knows everyone.
Yeah,
Joey knows the detox crew. All right, that was a year ago. That was we're working on a year here, Johnny. Well,
congratulations.
Well, not yet. Not yet.
Oh,
soon.
Okay.
But not yet. Believe me, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Believe me, I'll let you know. I'll put a post up on Instagram. No, I won't. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with the stack. So Hardy will read everything Dan sent him. Here are the headlines.
That's accurate.
There's nothing wrong with it.
That's accurate.
I'm just giving Dan some credit. Here are the headlines.
normally have missed from the show. It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Hardy, what's going on? By the way, I got to tell you this. Toucher and Hardy show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And The Stack is brought to you by Best Ford in Nashua. Looking for great deals on new Fords? Go to the Best First. That's Best Ford in Nashua. Head to thebestfordnh.com.
What do you think's going on out there in that elevator lobby there, Fred? What is that big white, looks like a canvas container with an arm sticking up out of it? What is that?
I can't see. I'm blocked by the staircase.
You should get up and go look. And I'd appreciate it if you actually went out there, John, struck up a conversation with them. Find out what's happening.
Yeah, just go out there and just lean against the elevator.
Yeah.
All I know is that whoever runs that cafeteria downstairs loves the music of the country.
Well, I'm glad you brought up music of the country because last night, Fred.
Because I don't think the guys that work there are big country music guys.
No.
Because they're playing another radio station down there.
CMT Music Awards were last night at the Moody Center in Austin.
I like CMT because they show The King of Queens and Last Man Standing.
They do show some good movies on CMT. I find myself watching that. Smokey and the Bandit. They'll show that.
I didn't know The King of Queens was country music television, but country music television will show 85 episodes of The King of Queens in a row.
Is Kevin James, is that King of Queens?
I just think it's dumb. So the audience is kind of just like, oh, this is right up my alley. Nice and dumb.
Roger Clemens introduced the tribute to his true friend and patriot, Toby Keith. Did you know Toby Keith died?
No.
I didn't know this either. In February,
Huh.
Toby Keith had stomach cancer. He was 62 years old. And I'm also learning that his biggest hit was a song called Should Have Been a Cowboy, which got played 3 million times on the radio in the 90s and was the biggest country music song of the 90s. I worked in country radio for about 6 months in the 90s. I don't remember this song. Do I know the song Should Have Been a Cowboy?
Why wasn't he a cowboy? That seems something under his control.
Yeah, you could have been.
I mean, he could have gone out west and become a cowboy.
Right. Well, a lot of people showed up to pay tribute, including a certain someone singing the song I Love This Bar. Let's see if you can figure out who this is. I'll give you a hint. He is a front man of another band, not the front man that everyone thinks of this band, but he called Toby Keith a great drinking buddy.
Who died of stomach cancer?
He said they drank a lot in Cabo.
I know who you're talking about now because you said that, but I was going to guess Scott Weiland, but he's not with us. Then I was going to say Kurt Cobain, but he's no longer with us. I was going to say Lane Staley.
No, it's not the person you think of, so you could have said Jeff Gut as the new singer of Stone Temple Pilots. You could have made that as a guess.
No, that, of course, is the Red Rocker who invented the mountain bike and had a very successful travel agency, Sammy Hagar. So, by the way, Sammy Hagar is pretty old. Like, he's in his mid-70s, and he looks fantastic. And if he really does, like, party as much as he says he does, God bless him.
Still got the voice, too. Really.
I never cared for his voice, but, yes, his voice is still on point.
Lost it.
76 years old.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and he's, like, still got... I mean, he's obviously, like, doing good stuff, like taking hormones and stuff, but he's in, like, in very good shape.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is, like... his tequila brand. So if he's really consuming that much tequila, God bless him.
Yeah.
Because he's holding up, he's almost pickling himself like a heroin addict.
We're wondering what Bill Belichick is up to. Apparently he's hanging out with Stevie at Huskies practice there in Washington.
That's a big surprise. If I was Steve Belichick, wouldn't you want him as far away from you as possible? Like,
seriously.
No chance to create your own identity here with Dad walking next to you at practice.
And, like, don't you have a relationship with your father where you can tell him just to leave? Like, Dad, don't come. Like, that's not a... Or if you come, like, I'd love to see you. Yeah. but don't come to my job.
No quicker way to delay any promotion that you might get. Suppose the Huskies are in the Big Ten this year, right? Suppose the Huskies do well. Washington goes like 9-2, and the defense is outstanding. Just based on this photo, no one's going to believe Brian Belichick has anything to do with this.
Yeah. I would have just told him to not come around.
Sorry, Steve Belichick has anything to do with this.
No, Brian Belichick is apparently the smart one.
He was there in Washington gear, and the Seattle Times reported that Steve Belichick's defense looked good against the Washington offense in 11-on-11 work, while Belichick looked on.
It's what you were wondering about. It's some kind of fun costume.
Okay,
what
you
was
got
in
it.
the bag.
Now I can't see. Can you describe what's happening out there? Because I was right to think something was going on.
It's a large Grimace costume. Like it's a purple furry costume. So I think that there's a furry convention and things are about to get very sexy.
Yikes!
Well, Bertrand just walked by. I'm sure by it. He got a good.
Well, we'll see if he's aroused.
Yeah.
We'll see if he's indeed a furry. But I have a feeling the guy in the costume is going to be getting a big kick out of it.
Do you think the Grimace shake is back? Okay, there's the head.
I think that might very well be Grimace, or else some cheap dime store knockoff of Grimace.
Oh, okay.
That is an impressive, size. This isn't your normal mascot thing.
Yeah, but it's kind of ruining the illusion by seeing him put it on. Because, now I know it's not really Grimace.
There's Bertrand. He had a good view of that.
But that thing's 8 feet tall.
Thank God it's not the Hamburglar.
Yeah, now, you see,
Bertrand,
lost art being the Hamburglar.
I know you didn't walk by that without finding out what was going on.
No, but there's I just was fascinated by the rigging system inside of that.
Yeah, it's ruined the illusion.
The guy.
Yeah, now I know. Now I can't. It's ruined my sense of wonder.
Fred, it's an erector set inside that costume.
Well, they're getting him
an
dressed
erection set out here.
Yeah, well, that too.
They're getting him dressed out there in the lobby. He's not going to be able to make it in any door.
Well, that
was
the first thing I just said. Come in. I go, where are they going with this guy? Because he can't now move.
Yeah.
He can't go anywhere. He can't get on the elevator. He can't come through one of these doors.
Wouldn't it be funny if they just kept him locked in it, and it was like hell? He was trapped in the Grimace costume for eternity.
Wow.
What if we came back here tomorrow and he was still standing there?
and his two handlers left him?
Yeah, they just left him. Like, you're putting a lot of trust into these two handlers. Like, what if you just, what if they locked you in it?
Zoe's out there getting the full story.
Oh, good.
That's a shock. And he'll come and relate it perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's a journalist.
I got dressed up in one of those ones.
He's on the money when he tells you something. By the way, tell him everything you have in confidence.
Zoe is a broadcast system in and of himself.
There is a way. If you were,
Has he forgotten his pass again?
He is the emergency alert
Did he
system
forget
of
his
radio
pass again?
gossip.
He can't get in.
If you need,
if you want something, if you want something leaked and you don't want to say it yourself, just simply tell Scott, and then the next thing you know, that will be public.
I've told him things that I wanted people to hear, and did it by saying, "Don't tell anybody." All right? That's
I've done the exact same. I've done the exact same.
And all of a sudden,
thing.
everybody knows, and you're like, "Brilliant."
Yeah,
brilliant.
I've done the exact same thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I've had occasion to go, this is what's going on. It's the truth. And then kaboom, there you go. Public knowledge.
It's out there.
Oh, here he is. He's got the story now.
On the
mascot.
what's the mascot going on out there?
Ad for the character's name is Blue from the movie It.
Oh, so it's not Grimace.
Cute as hell.
Okay.
But it's a TV shoot?
It's promoting a movie.
Promoting a movie.
I get the furry thing. I'm not saying I'm a furry or I would go to a convention, but if you've ever hugged a mascot or something, it feels nice.
You find it arousing.
I get it. I get why people would be aroused by it. Yes.
Explain. No.
yeah, exactly.
You have to explain at this point because you said it. You explain it. Don't make us the bad guy.
Okay. Well, I'm not. Don't make it sound like I'm the one getting aroused. But have you ever hugged a mascot like at a theme park or something like that?
Sure.
It's very nice. It's a very warm, comforting feeling. I thought it wouldn't take much
to make it move
to get a person to the next level. It's like, this feels good. Oh, this feels...
It sounds like a couple more minutes you'd be on that
This
level.
feels really good. What if I were wearing a costume too? And then we just rub those costumes up against each other.
I don't know why that mic's not working, but it's not. I'm sorry.
Why would it, right?
Yeah. Well,
you think Roach looks at pictures at night of the characters he takes pictures with and does stuff?
Listen, man, there's a whole thing going on at Disney that I don't know what's going on over there. There's adults running around that place like there's no tomorrow. They love it. But I do think it's interesting that you've and empathetic of you that you can put yourself in the position of a furry and go, now I understand why you find this arousing. Because to me, it's a puzzle. But whatever happens to us when we're children certainly does something. Because if you ever hugged a mascot, like you remember like being at a fair, like when you were a kid and like hugging a mascot.
There was something, yeah. I don't know.
It's the same thing with people who like feet. It's like because their mom's offering them comfort and them hugging their leg.
Oh, yeah.
It's something about like stockings. It's the same thing. Like it's all traced to our relationships with our family when we were younger.
Well, what's weird is like 5 radio stations here. We're the only one on TV. He has not planned to come on with us, but he's dressed up to go on radio.
I don't really know what a mascot
coming
on
here
radio
for promotion.
He
has no plans. We look at our show. I don't see Blue plan to come in.
How is he getting through a door?
And is it the guy
That's what
that
I
plays
told
Blue
them.
in the movie in the costume, or is it some cheap knockoff? Is it like seeing
this
MF
thing's
Doom?
legit. Watch him walk.
Well, it's an animated movie, isn't it?
Oh, then I don't need to see this in live. Just I would like an
Look at him, he's
animation
waving.
cell.
This is great. It's going to distract me the whole show. I told him just bring him in, sit him down.
I don't think you'll be distracted, Zoe.
No.
That never happens.
You'll be fine.
It's going to take Dad to distract you.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Everyone, enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the solar eclipse. Even though one happened in 2017.
They're giving out glasses to everyone on my son's bus today because they'll be going home as the eclipse starts, and then they know that all these kids are going to stare straight at the sun while they're on the bus, and they don't want to be accountable.
You know, you're not supposed to stare at the sun ever. It's the same principle as all the time. I'm not making that up. Like that, like staring at the eclipse is not any worse for you than right now staring at the sun. Hello. All right. Don't stare at the sun ever. It's bad.
Final thought of the day.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.